Going live. Hey, everybody on YouTube. How we doing? We're kicking off a brand new week this week, and I know it is cold all around North America, and especially for our good friends in the South down in Texas, like Corey the booking guy. I mean, we are seeing things that we've never seen before, and it is quite interesting to watch it happen. I know there's a lot of people that are struggling right now, especially down in Texas, because they're never prepared for this kind of cold. But you know what? Keep yourself warm. Get the blankets out. Take it from a Canadian. You will get through this. You will survive. Because I know last week I was having the same temperatures here, and but at least up here we're prepared for it. But God bless everybody down in Texas and in the South who's going through this maybe for the first time. Let's give a rundown of everyone in our chat rooms tonight. Mike in the gold medal position, Andrew in silver, James in bronze, Sukhvinder all the way over in the UK. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Gorgeous Renee, nice to see you. Mary Bone is here, everyone. She's a vegetarian. Mary Bone, Mary Bone, Mary Bone. Murray F., good to have you here. Tantalizing Tina, good to see you. How's it going, Olin? Good to have you here. Gorgeous Steph Dickey, thanks for joining us. Alaska's greatest athlete, the gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow is here, everyone. Twin Rose and Boss, good to have you guys here. Aiden, nice to see you. Paul Holland, good morning or good afternoon to you. How's tomorrow looking? Please let us know. The Ronald Penton is here, everyone. The Ronald Penton. Make sure you say hello to him. Crave Dog, good to have you here. Mark W., nice to see you. Chris Jarvis, always a pleasure to have you here, brother. Jack Clark, thanks for coming on in. So we scroll on down. The gorgeous and talented Jen Stir is back. Hi, Jen. Jack Clark, good to see you. The lovely Tina P is here, everyone. Make sure you say hi to her. Dolly is here, everyone. The diva Dolly is here. She will be signing autographs after the show. Make sure you line up to the right of the studio afterwards to get your autographs. They are free with Dolly tonight. Nate Foot, good to have you here. Thanks for coming on in. And as we scroll on down, Chris Reap, good to see you. Hi, gorgeous Jenny. Good to see you. Project Blue Book and Elliot, thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, Go66 and Drake, good to have you guys here. Thank you for joining us. Princess Denali, you're looking gorgeous tonight. The gorgeous, talented, and stunning Nicole Sakic is here, everyone. She will be signing autographs outside the studio. Line up on the left. She is free of charge tonight as well. Ozzy, oi, oi. How are you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. Steve Stockton from KPNL. Always a pleasure to have you here. The gorgeous and talented Trixie Cat. Cat the Kit is here, everyone. Super Quest, how you doing, brother? Good to have you here, man. Hope you're staying warm. Rekid Havoc, how you doing, John? Good to have you here. Richard Elmore, Den Bub, nice to see you. Justin, always a pleasure. My Zoe Buttercup has the cutest smile. Good to see you, Zoe. Let's see. Jim Nicholas, nice to have you here. Gary Vermeer, you're Dutch, man. There's no other thing that we could say other than you're Dutch. He is the Grand Master behind Mighty Moose Beard Oil. We'll get to that advertisement a little soon, or in a little bit. Otis, good to have you here. Dirty Filth and Raul, thanks for coming on in. Stuart, always a pleasure to have you here, buddy. Where am I here on the list? Sweet Donnie C, nice to have you here. Border Wall, good to have you. And Nicola, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. We are all caught up. Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight. This guy is an incredible dude. You know, not only does he have a good mustache, but he is a good Canadian kid. And we're going to learn a lot about Sasquatch tonight from him. And you're in for a real treat tonight. Monster X Radio, good to have you here. Hey there, Polar Eclipse. Nice to see you. Let's see here. We are all caught up. We're about a minute and a half away from launching. Race Fan, good to see you. And I also want to remind everyone that a great way to support this show is to give us a thumbs up. If you're brand new, give us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. The super chat is open for all of you who want to super chat because super chatting is fun. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Good to have you here. And did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. And, of course, you can do some shopping, facebook.com/the SOR Vault. And you can get your great T-shirts and everything there. We are about Oh, 45 seconds away. Mark Ellens, good to see you. And like I said, Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to have a blast with him tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. He's got some great Sasquatch stories and what he's doing to try and help prove the existence of this creature. And he is a hard worker. This is what he does literally full time in his life, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. John Swan, good to see you. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Sir Wolf, nice to have you back in the chat room. And we're going to get going here in about 7 seconds. So sit back, relax, enjoy the woo, because here it comes. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Thomas Sewid is a main guide on his adventure around one of North America's weirdest, strangest islands. He is a leading expert on Sasquatch and Bigfoot with a massive understanding of the North American Indian perspectives on the creatures. He has studied under, with, and guidance from the late Dr. John Bindernagel. Thomas has learned to continually study the scientific information pertaining to primates and relic hominoids. He is the founder, or he has also helped find, a specific island on Canada's west coast where these creatures seem to inhabit. He's nicknamed the island Sasquatch Island. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Thomas Sewid, it's been a while since we've had you on Spaced Out Radio, but I love talking Bigfoot, and I love talking Bigfoot with you, my friend. How you been?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on your show again. Nice. It's been a long time, all right.
Now, you're a Canadian living down in Washington State. Pretty tough right now for you?
I'm a Canadian locked out of Canada. As of Monday, today, they don't allow us back without a test and $2,000 hotel stay for 2 weeks and all this other stuff, but it's a good thing I have my common law wife living here in Kent, Washington, so I'm hunkered down here for the next few months.
Well, you know, hopefully for all of us in North America, that border opens up, because I know around here, we want to have a huge Spaced Out Radio party down in Las Vegas. We deserve it. We totally deserve it. And you know, but hey, safety first. I guess that's what we're being told, and that's what we got to play by. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, for you, though, at least you're in an area where there's Sasquatch, and you can at least get into the mountains.
Oh, yeah. You don't even have to get into the mountains. You just go east of Kent, Washington, where we're staying, past Covington, through that into Maple Valley, and then once you get to the end of the farms, up around Buckley, Enumclaw, start looking. We actually captured one on a fleur. It's a blob squatch, mind you, about 3 years ago. We were actually on a bridge, and all the after bar crowd was driving home back and forth across the bridge. We're standing there freezing, and in the fleur we caught something big and bipedal walking down the edge of the riverbank.
Oh, wow. Now, you coming of First Nations descent, I have to ask you, I mean, growing up, you've always believed in this creature. What is it like growing up in that environment where this creature is part of your everyday cycle?
It's, to us, it's just, we accept it. Like someone asked me, why do you accept it? And I said, respect. I respect my elders and I respect my ancestors. I can't doubt the existence of Sasquatch from just what they've taught us oral history, because it's very disrespectful to call your ancestors and elders liars and fibbers. So to me, that's the main aspect. But then when I saw the big fellas with my own two eyes on a few occasions, I'm a firm believer in their existence.
Now, for you, you are a little bit different than most First Nations people because you deal a lot with the scientific side rather than the potential of the supernatural side. Growing up with the supernatural side, you hear the stories, the legends that have been passed down for centuries from your elders. Why have you decided to take a little bit of a different route?
Well, in our tribe, the Kwakwaka'wakw, there's no woo about it. There is spirituality. It comes from the spiritual realm, but there's no mind speaking, reading your thoughts. It doesn't jump through portholes. It's not known to cloak, and it leaves tracks. It comes after our misbehaving children, according to the legends and stories, and it robs our smokehouses of our fish and our nets. So it's a living, breathing, eating, track leaving, pooping critter. And from my experience with them, there's absolutely none of that. I guess you could say the spiritualesque side where it's, cloaking and riding UFOs and jumping through portholes and reading my mind. I've never experienced that. I've just experienced an animal that's just no different than us, other than it's hairier.
Do you almost feel a little bit left out next to your indigenous counterparts who claim to have had those experiences?
Not really. I respect my fellow North American Indians that, believe differently, of course. And, being a podcaster and in television production for Sasquatch shows and documentaries, yes, I respect them. I accept what they're saying and that. But at the same time, I don't go chasing it. Like, being a team member of Monster X Radio, our motto is Bigfoot without the BS. And I know it's harsh to the people that, take the woo side, but, it's what we are. It keeps us focused within our guardrails.
You don't deny it, though. You may go on the one side, but are you a denier of the woo side of everything?
I wouldn't say a denier. I call it being crispy in the forest. So if you're not crispy in the forest and being on your top-notch level, and you're starting to look for tree structures and cloaks and glyphs and things like that, the next thing you know, you slip, trip, fall, pop a hip, pop a knee. I got an injured knee right now, so I have to be careful of that. So I have to be crispy. I'm looking for that tree peaker, that thing that's deep in the shrub looking at me. And if I catch an eye blink or a movement of shoulder or hair, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for anything else other than that.
Mm-hmm. So for you, growing up on the Canada's West Coast, I believe you grew up in Alert Bay, correct?
Born in Alert Bay, moved when I was about 8 years old.
All right. So tell people what it's like, because the majority of our audience is not in Canada. They are in the United States. They're in the United Kingdom. They're as far away as Australia and New Zealand. For people who don't know what Alert Bay is like, tell us what it is.
Alert Bay is a small island off northeastern Vancouver Island, accessible by boat or float plane only, and a BC ferry. But when I was a kid growing up there, you always went by the main road on the waterfront, and there was the big graveyard with all these, most people call totem poles, with these creatures with sleepy eyes, puckered up lips like this, and these big outstretched arms and breasts carved on them. Well, we knew what that was. That was Jonachwa, wild woman of the woods, that watches children. And if the child misbehaves, Jonachwa is going to run out of the bush and grab with big hairy arm, grab that child, rub spruce sap in their eyes so they can't open their eyes and see, they're blind. And she's going to throw them in her basket on her back and carry them deep in the forest where her invisible home is. And that's where she boils up the bad children and eats them. But Alert Bay is the community with the highest concentration of wood poles, welcoming poles, memorial poles in the graveyard, and house posts in the big house. And everywhere you go in Alert Bay on the Indian Reserve, because half the island in the north is reservation, you see these old and even these modern totem poles, that most people refer to them as, carved depicting Jonachwa, the female Sasquatch, the highest ranking crest in our tribe. So it's, Alert Bay is pretty neat, and you can go visit my cousins who are artists and everything from silver and gold to wood carvings, mask carvings, paintings, and you always see the chonahwa, the female interpretation of our Sasquatch being created by them. Everything from rings to bracelets to massive poles to masks. It's just amazing. Alert Bay, Umista Cultural Center, umista.ca, umista.ca. I highly recommend all of you guys Google it and go for a cruise to our cultural website from our cultural center up there, and you will be amazed.
So for you being and having that great tradition, why are you one of the only First Nation people, and even going into the States with American Indian people, who are willing to speak publicly about this topic? Because many of your culture really do not want to speak publicly about it.
Oh, definitely. I get some nasty emails sometimes and some chatter like a Sasquatch from some of my tribe members, very derogative over what I'm doing. But the reason why I'm doing it is in British Columbia, Canada, we used to have a commercial in the 1970s of a buckskin Indian in a birch bark canoe paddling into the city and seeing the pollution being spilled into the rivers, the smoke from the factories, the traffic jams, the garbage dumps. And at the end of the commercial, a tear comes down his eye and down his cheek. He had come into the modern world and seen the destruction that we're doing. Well, that started the whole environmentalism campaign in the mid 1970s onwards to the present day, where we're supposedly more environmentally conscious for our backyards, our homelands. Well, we're not. And I firmly believe that when we have the conclusive proof of the existence of the other tribe, Sasquatch, we're going to wake up and realize that we have to protect their homelands, which is our homelands, our environment. And that's why I do it. It's to protect what we have, this little spaceship of dust flying through the cosmos. You know, we're destroying it. And once it's gone, we've got nothing else to ride on.
In British Columbia, we seem to play a lot on Sasquatch. Tourism, t-shirts, totem poles for your culture, showing the heritage. But we also see, you know, Hemlock Valley's been renamed Sasquatch Mountain. The Sasquatch, the Sasquatch Inn. Harrison Hot Springs has made an entire tourism area of the Sasquatch. What do you think about all of these areas in BC using the Sasquatch as a tourism type figure, or even a sales pitch, rather than, you know, maybe taking it as seriously as they should?
I think we could reflect on the Atlanta Braves, the Washington Redskins, the Chicago Blackhawks, and just refer to them as Sasquatch, which is a native name. And let's drop the name Bigfoot. That would be a good start, showing respect to the other tribe. And, you know, everything is commercialized in this modern day. Like a lot of people tell me, you know, we need to be more traditional. We need to stop pipelines and this and that. No, we need to find balance. And, you know, I laugh at people that go to the protests in their F-350 diesel burning pickup trucks, holding a placard with a piece of wood that was harvested in forestry with a billboard made of pulp and written on with Sharpie, which is all based upon petroleum products. And when they go number 2, they're using toilet paper. Want to be traditional? Maybe quit relying upon petroleum 100% and start using leaves for doing your business.
That's just being quite upfront right there. But you know, I mean,
don't be like that.
No, and in a lot of ways, I agree with what you were saying. You know, but as far as the usage of Sasquatch and the fact that even in British Columbia, you know, even though the creature, like you believe in it, I believe in it because we've had personal encounters with it. Many others have. But the fact is, there is no law in British Columbia protecting this potential creature. It seems to be covered up by those who have experience, including RCMP members, including conservation and fisheries officers who've had that. Never mind Native police that have had encounters as well. So why do you think that there is so much cover up of this creature?
Because of what I referred to about protecting our backyards and their backyards. We know what happened with the marbled murrelet and the spotted owl in the Pacific Northwest. Millions of hectares of land was taken off the table for forestry, mining, urban development, and so forth. So once that Sasquatch is conclusively proven, well, you're going to be looking at probably 3/4 of Sasquatch Island's going to be taken off the development plate table. And it was something I chuckled at when you did the intro and you said this little island in British Columbia. Sasquatch Island is North America because us Native American Indians, we refer to North America as Turtle Island because it looks like the turtle with the appendages of the Aleutian Islands, Labrador, Newfoundland, Hudson's Bay being the mouth, and the body being Canada, Mexico, and US. And you look at a map, North America looks like a turtle. I refer to it as Sasquatch Island because everyone, native and non-native Indian, have stories about the encounters on this big chunk of rock surrounded in water, an island, a continent. So I call it Sasquatch Island.
Makes sense. It totally makes sense. But you're not afraid though to take people out to the islands around Vancouver Island. You know, there's all these stories throughout the centuries that Sasquatch has been able to swim between the mainland and the islands to get back and forth, and that's how some of these really sparse islands have been populated by these creatures. What is going on Canada's west coast?
It's on like Donkey Kong out here. I get reports pretty much daily now with the modern day smoke signal, Facebook Messenger, and emails. It's just amazing, hearing these reports on a daily basis coming in from this time of the year, the clam diggers out on the coast at nighttime, hearing whoops and tree knocks and trees being pushed over and seeing the tracks and the broken shellfish that they had left in a pile showing that they were harvesting at that beach. So they're swimming constantly from island to island, from Vancouver Island to the smaller ones and then to the mainland. And it's, I firmly believe they have tribal territories, clan territories like us coastal First Nations. And if you look at the reports, it's in showing you that, this one we know of who has one eye seems to stay in this one pocket region based upon watersheds for salmon streams to shellfish beaches and elk and deer hunting area. And him and his clan stay there. And then you look at a report somewhere else on the opposite side of Vancouver Island, and the cinnamon-colored clan or Sasquatches are seen in that one area and only in that one area of Vancouver Island and the islands just offshore where they go shellfish harvesting in the winter.
Mm-hmm. So with that, you mentioned a couple of times now the word clan. Explain what a Sasquatch clan is, if you don't mind.
Well, Lucas White, an Omaha Indian in Macy, Nebraska, at the Omaha Indian Reserve that I became good friends with, when I was investigating with him on the Indian Reservation 3 years ago, he grew up living in the forest because his father died. The social services and police wanted to apprehend him, and he ran into the forest and lived there for March through until October when it got cold. And then he walked into town and was apprehended by the police and social services, went to foster care on a non-Indian farm. When March came, stole food and money and blankets and went back to the bush again until October. That was his MO until he was 18. And I said, there's no way a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid could live out there with the coyote packs and the wild dogs and the cougars. I said, those things looked out for you. And he just put his head down and he said, there's lots I have to tell you, Tom. But in the years, he shared with me that he wasn't, like when I came out and I emailed Dr. John Bindernagel, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Les Stroud, and a few others. When I emailed them when I got back from Nebraska, it was titled, I Found Tarzan. So I had found someone who I firmly believe interacted with them. And he taught me that, Tom, you're right. They have language. They have laws, very strict laws. They have culture. And he would end it by saying they have laws, very strict laws. And they are set up where the elder, the weak, the sick, the infants are in the nucleus, and surrounding them are the scouts And around that are further scouts. And then you have your hunters that are hunting for the clan family unit. And I asked him, I said, how many clans do you figure there is in your Indian reserve? And he said, I don't know for sure. I just know that there's about 3 in the one area where our tribe lives. So when you look at Google Earth of the Omaha Indian Reservation, you'll notice that it's an enclave of hardwood forest of walnut and I think it's chestnut. And all around it is eradicated of forest and plains because it's farms. Iowa to the east and Nebraska with all their farms, and Kansas to the south. And when you take off or land in an airplane towards Mesa in Omaha and you fly over that reserve, you can see it for yourself. That is an enclave. And one of the things I noticed in the 2 Sasquatch that I saw there that they call Sitonga, and I saw it with a FLIR 2 Scout, and we were about under 100 yards from them, and they're out in the middle of a soybean field. What really caught me was their hang lip. Their bottom lip of the pregnant female and the big male were hanging, and they had this Cro-Magnon Neanderthal type facial feature. And to me, what came to thought a few days later is inbreeding, because for a couple hundred years now, those Sasquatches have been in that little enclave. And, it's something to think about, and hopefully I'll get back there after COVID and do some more investigating.
So you don't think that in certain areas they are kicking out the young males to go find their own territory, much like other animals do?
Oh, absolutely. We're really seeing that on Vancouver Island. It's like I said in the last show with you, the North American Indians, or the American Indians in North, Central, and South, we have proliferated like bunny rabbits since the early mid-1900s, where there's so many of us. We're branching out. I'm with a non-native woman. We don't have children, but if I did go back to Alert Bay and look for a wife in my younger years, as I found out, all the girls are my cousins. So I had to go look further afield. We're finding that on Vancouver Island. We're seeing, I guess you could say, sub-adult male and females staying in this one area, which is inferior. There's no salmon river. There's no shellfish beach. It's just mainly log and slashes forest, a little bit of river system and some lakes, and ungulates, hoofed animals, deer and elk. So it's almost like the same thing that the North American Indian has experienced with proliferation, meaning we're having babies like crazy. It seems the Sasquatches are doing the same. And you got to remember, the Sasquatches and we North American Indians suffered the same things. If we go back 100 years, it was, or actually we go back 60 years, it was tuberculosis. Prior to that was smallpox, or not smallpox, but Spanish flu, influenza, types of influenzas, smallpox. Those things eradicated our tribes. And it did the same to the Sasquatches from the native oral history that I'm gathering in my investigations. And now it looks like the populations are rebounding, but now we got COVID-19. So who's to say what's going to happen in 10 years from now?
We've got about 45 seconds to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thomas, in your estimation with this creature, and the interactions that you had with it, are you proud to say that this is a creature you have become very close to, or is it something you're still very wary about?
I'm wary about him. I don't trust him as far as I could push him, and I don't think I could push a 9-footer very far.
Why is that?
Because they kill humans.
Really?
Missing 411 in our native reports. And I've seen them get aggressive, and it's scary. They chased me out of my sea kayak camp in 2006.
Well, we're going to have to find out about that when we come back from break, my friend, because I know what it's like to be pushed out of an area personally by Sasquatch, and it is intimidating, very intimidating. We're going to learn more about the legend of Sasquatch with Thomas Sewid. He's one of the top researchers in North America when it comes to the big hairy beasts of our forest. Let's learn more when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. All right, my friend, we're clear.
5 minutes?
Yeah, we got 5 minutes. Hey, Peter Birdsall, where you been hiding lately? Good to see you back. Opa de Greco, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. Don't thank me for the guest bang, Dingo. That is Corrence, the booking guy, that deserves all the credit. Corrence, the booking guy. That's the guy you need to say a big thank you to for another great guest that we have on tonight. It's all his doing. Morning, UK Andrew. Good to see you. And hey, Monster X Radio. Good to have you here. Nate Foot. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I can just feel it. This summer, brother. This summer, we're going to do this thing. Sweet Murray F. There he is. Keith Watson, welcome to Spaced Out Radio from Ohio. Whereabouts in Ohio are you, my friend? I know they're canceling Corrence and his electricity. I know that. Hello, Gone Squatching from Ohio. Whereabouts in Ohio are you? Hey, Off-World Adam, how you doing? 509, good to see you here. Greenville. Hold on. Is that in the southeast corner, more like by Pennsylvania? It sounds familiar. Near Cleveland. I've been to Cleveland. I drove from Pittsburgh to Cleveland to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just about broke down in tears when I was going by the Jimi Hendrix exhibit and saw the original lyrics to Voodoo Child written on like a napkin or a pizza box or something like that. It's awesome. Hey, Zach, how you doing, man? I'm going to be honest. This toque is hot tonight. It is hot. It is warm in the studio tonight. It's heated up to like minus 8 degrees Celsius here. Texas is apparently colder than me right now. And I am very much enjoying the heat wave. I opened my window in my bedroom last night. It was way too hot, so I actually opened my window. Totally right, Cable Guy Matt. Remember, you can get your free piece of autographed coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. All you have to do is head to our store, the SOR Vault. Go to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. And when we send you a t-shirt, you are going to get this free piece of coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. Remember, you cannot buy these in stores, people. Limit one per order. Cable Guy Matt. Literally, Thomas, he's my cable guy.
Oh yeah.
So I had him create some pieces of cable for Uh-huh. Thank you, Crave Dog. I'm not going to lie. It's warm right now. It is really warm. I might have to do that up a little bit just to cool down a little bit. Happy birthday, Tina. Happy birthday. All right. Thomas, we have just over 1 minute.
Yep.
Mad Kiwi, how you doing, man? Hey, Cable Guy Matt, I will give you a free piece of autographed coaxial cable if you buy a shirt. What size are you? Let me know, because I do have some at home. Oh. Yeah, last week up here it was like between minus 30 and minus 40 all week.
Wow, that's too cold.
That is too cold. It hurts cold. That's the pain. You know, the cold you can take, but it's when that damn wind starts up. That's
Yeah.
what sucks is the wind.
2016 doing ice fishing demonstration
Yeah, no,
for Northwest Territories. That was cold.
nope, nope, not me, man, not me.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get going here in about 5 seconds. Thank you to Dirty Filth and TH for the super chats. Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight on the big show. We're talking Sasquatch all night long with one of the best researchers in North America, if I do say so myself, Thomas. I hope you don't mind me quoting you on that, but I think you're a good friend of this show, and I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Thomas, I got to ask you, right before the break, we left off on a little bit of a harsh note. You believe that Sasquatch is a very dangerous creature.
Well, I think it's just the rogues, the big males that get displaced from the family clan unit by a younger, stronger male. That's nature's code book. And, like a low head wolf that gets displaced, it has a choice. It can stay with the edge of the pack, feeding off the scraps and getting bit and attacked all the time by the pack and pushed away again, shunned, or it can go off on its own. And sometimes an old wolf will team up with an old grizzly bear and they'll live out their final years together. So I think those Sasquatches that get displaced, Lucas taught me that they get bigger, they get more aggressive, they're soloists, and those are the ones that I think, it's like when our wives take us and divorce us. We go rogue. I went rogue. I went into the bush for 9 years, and one of my common law wives split up with me back in the early 90s. I didn't come out again until 1999, and I went out in the bush, and I remember times being out of cigarettes and coffee, and I'd smell some cigarette smoke and coffee, and I'd hear chatter of humans, and I'd get into the bush, and like a Sasquatch, I'd pull a branch down, and I'd look, and I'd see the cigarettes, and I'd see the coffee thermoses. I wanted to walk out and interact with those humans, but inside me, something just told me to just push the branch up, turn, and walk away. I was rogue. I was a rogue human. I got sick and tired of the concrete life, and I went out into the bush for, quite a long time. Months I was out one time. I watched logging camps and did my ecotourism operations in the summer, sports fishing guide, worked on logging roads, commercial fished on boats. But I stayed out in the bush as much as I could because I despised humanity so much. Revenue Canada was after me for over $100,000 in back taxes because of a corrupt bookkeeper, and owed money left, right, and center. And, I know what it's like to go rogue, and I totally see how Sasquatches can go rogue, and those are the ones that become the human killers. And Vancouver Island, we have a rest stop that's closed north of Campbell River. It used to be, big paved cement picnic tables, outhouses, garbage cans. Now it's cement barricades, and everything's been removed because apparently they found a woman in there about 4.5, 5 years ago, decapitated, left arm ripped off, body pummeled, no sexual abuse. And the police reported to the family that they speculated that it was a Sasquatch Bigfoot that killed her. So, and then you look at Vancouver Island, you go to Facebook to Vancouver Island Missing People. You can join that group. It's phenomenal how many people are missing on Vancouver Island right now. And most of them are Native Indians. So the police, do they really care? Not really. It's just another Indian gone missing. And, but the numbers are starting to add up. We have a highway in northern British Columbia called the Highway of Tears because so many Native women mostly have gone missing on that highway. Now, some of it is attributed to a serial killer human, but I've heard chatter that some of them are attributed to big Sasquatches. So Do I believe Sasquatch kill humans? Why do you think the First Nations in Canada and some North American Indian tribes talk about them being cannibals? They like beans. They like to eat human beings. That's the way I look at it. Some of them.
What do you think of the idea? I once heard from a First Nations person down in the Chilliwack area who had a cousin that went missing on the Highway of Tears, and
Mm-hmm.
that the First Nations up there have been trying to say for years that they believe that there is a shortness of female Sasquatch, and many of these women get taken by Sasquatch as Sasquatch wives.
I haven't heard any like that myself, other than the old Indian stories, whether it's folklore, or oral accounts of something that happened, I can't say. But, we have enough reports of that. We have, I can't remember her name, Easy or whatever, the one in Asia that was apparently the child of a copulation between a female human and a Yeti, a Sasquatch from there. So, yeah, I think it's quite possible.
Mm-hmm. I want to shift gears here for a quick second, if you don't mind. You got to work very closely and get to learn the late Dr. John Bindernagel, and he was a good friend of this show. Even though we never had him on as a guest, we could never line it up. But him and I talked a few times, including I had the privilege of speaking to him once in person in 2015. And when he heard that I had had a Sasquatch encounter, he was, I was like gold to him, like a little brother, just the way he took everyone in. What was it like to work with him?
It was a blast. Right from the day I met him in 1991 to give him my report of seeing a couple Sasquatches, from there, it just went right up. One of the best counts with him, though, is, how excited he gets. And you heard it when he was talking to you. Oh. And what else? What did you see? What did you smell? He just got so passionate into the whole Sasquatch, encounter that he always wanted to see it himself, which fortunately he did in Kentucky when he went down there. But he was deaf, like these two big hearing aids that if you didn't have them adjusted right, they'd be just squealing. And he wouldn't hear it, but we all would. And we'd be on a deck of a boat at night listening for Sasquatch and at anchor close to shore. And you'd have to kick John because he'd be squealing away his hearing aids, and he'd, I'm sorry, and he'd turn them off. And then we'd hear something. We're trying to wake John up, and of course his hearing aids are off, so you don't hear nothing. So you got to kick him in the butt, give him a little nudge and say, "Hey, John, get up!" And he'd crank up his hearing aids, and we'd tell him we heard something up in the bush, and there you get all excited. But to sit with that man, and I was so fortunate that him and I evolved together. We firmly believe that Sasquatch in North America is Gigantopithecus blackie, but that was the early 90s. And then by the early 2000s, him and I had sort of moved away from that hypothesis that it's Gigantopithecus blackie, and that he was started to take the stance I had that they're just bigger humans like you. You got a beard. I could live 2 Tom Sewid lifetimes. I'd never have a beard that long. I'm a thoroughbd Indian.
I could give you this one if you want it.
I don't want it.
Are you sure? Because
No.
I would give this beard to you.
No, I seen what you had for dinner in it, man.
Butter chicken. It was very good. It was very good.
But no, I firmly believe that they're just humans that walked away from 90-degree corners of long houses, big houses, teepees, tule huts, pit houses, and dropped the clothes, the weapons, and the tools and walked into the forest. And the best way to understand that is to watch The Gods Must Be Crazy, #1. How a Coca-Cola bottle thrown out of a plane can land in a bush people's family unit and cause total disruption. Well, can you imagine what it was like back when our ancestors started to use flint knapping and then attach the stone to spear and arrow, and I think it's called ladle or whatever, the spears. And then you had clothing, and then you had leisure time, so you developed your social structures, and then you had pettiness, jealousy, hate, animosity, warfare. And I think that's when some of the chieftains looked at their family and said, enough with this. We're going to go live back in tune with the environment, Mother Nature. And they dropped everything modern. They walked into the forest, and nature's code book took care of them, made them bigger, stronger, hairier. And because they were competing with the hairless humans who had weapons and fire and mass, they became the humans of the night. And that's what I believe Sasquatch is. And that's why the DNA keeps coming up as human contaminated or not conclusive, because it's human DNA. That's the way I look at it.
I want to ask you something that Dr. Bindernagel had mentioned to me, and I asked him one day about what he thought of the word squatch. And because I'll be honest with you, I've never really been a fan of the term. I think it cheapens the investigation or the understanding, and I'll never forget his reaction. He kind of stood up and took a deep sigh, and he said, 70 years of research killed on one word.
Wow, good point.
And that always stuck with me. And honestly, since then, the word squatch has always been banned from this show. Always been banned. And I have no problem if I have a Sasquatch researcher on here. I have no problem saying we don't use that word here. We don't recognize it.
I don't use it myself. I find it very derogatory. You know, it's like calling a black person the N-word, or me the C word, H-U-G. You know, that's a derogatory term for a Canadian Indian. And I find it the same way. You know, it's like calling Jesus Jesus. You know, religious people would never do that. You know, why would we do that? Something that's a lot of us hold in such high regard, and native tribes in North America hold even higher in regard and respect, the Sasquatch, or whatever they call it in their name, be it Sitonga, Gogit, Hawakwas, Books, the name list goes on.
So for you, do you find, as Dr. Bindernagel did, that this one word has really cheapened the work of a lot of scientists who've worked decades in order to try and bring credibility to the scientific field with this?
I agree. I believe it's right up there at the same level of discrediting us with hoaxing. And, you know, I think we should eradicate that short form for Sasquatch out of our dialect in the Sasquatch Bigfoot community. And even Bigfoot, that's a borderline one with me, because I know a lot of natives take offense with that name, but I live with an American. I guess you could say I'm half American now because I'm always down here. And a lot of the people I work with, like Monster X Radio, they're Americans, and they use the term Bigfoot. So that one I'm just going to stay on the fence with. But the shorter version for Sasquatch, yeah, let's get rid of it and stop using it.
Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Do you remember your first ever encounter with this creature?
God, other than the potlatch, seeing the Junacha danced, I got to go back to probably, I guess, in my early teens, up in a place, and we went out hunting some grouse, and we saw their tracks of 4, you know, one big one, a smaller one, sort of like the 4 bears kind of thing. You know, we saw, I guess, a family unit of tracks in what they think they call a levee or a coulee. We call it a dried up riverbed in Canada. So it was neat. And, you know, I didn't become, and I don't even use the word researcher, because I'm not sitting there having a Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall moment yet. That's what I'm striving for. So until that day happens, then I'm an investigator. I'm not a researcher. I don't have a subject yet that's sitting across from me. But, you know, looking at, you know, the whole equation on Sasquatch, it's just, you know, it drives you, it makes you passionate. But, you know, they're out there. Like when I was out in the bush for decades, you know, you'd be sitting there chopping firewood or whatever, and all of a sudden you'd hear something and you get that bad body odor smell. You know, I was taught to respect them. So I'd look up and, yo, Weeksus, what's up there, Jonacha? Hello, how you doing? I don't know who you are. What are you up to, Sasquatch? I'd say. And you wouldn't hear that like you hear in the recordings, that aggressive, or you wouldn't hear that. You'd hear like the gods must be crazy. And you might hear another one. And they'd be around you. You knew they were. You didn't look and stare at them because you know you're not supposed to do that. You didn't walk towards them because you knew you weren't supposed to do that. You simply cared about what you were doing, and you'd hear them move off. You never saw them. They're always the watcher watching you. but you knew they were there. And then when I came out and got together with Peggy and I was introduced to Finding Bigfoot and Dr. Jeff Meldrum and other shows and books, I was sitting there ready to throw books through our bedroom window at night when I was reading them. I was ready to throw my beer bottle at the TV because they were saying the Kwakwaka'wakw Indians from northern Vancouver Island call the Sasquatch the Bliss. And I'm like, wait a second, I ain't no Kwakwaka'wakw, I'm a Kwakwaka'wakw. And we call our Sasquatch Chonacha. Bliss is the little hair-covered bipedal creature from the spiritual world. And that's when Peggy said, well, you can be a whiny Indian about it or you can do something about it. And lo and behold, I started going to conferences and posting on Sasquatch Island, and pretty soon Wes Germer invited me to Sasquatch Chronicles, and the world got opened up to an Indian person who has a little bit of knowledge to share about Sasquatch, and we call it Junacha, not Bakwas. And that's why I became involved with, now I'm doing television shows ×4, podcasts with Monster X Radio, Sasquatch Island, and getting invited. I'm flying out on Thursday to Spokane, Washington to do a studio interview with Stephen Major for Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC for his show. And in June, at the 19th to the 21st, I'm in Madeline Falls, northeastern Washington, Peggy and I, and we're going to be one of the major people at the Bigfoot conference at Madeline Falls, and others are inviting us. And, so I've evolved and I keep evolving, and it's my passion, but it's also my business.
What is your opinion then? Like we talked a moment ago about, usage of the word squatch. What is your opinion then when there are members out there or so-called researchers out there who refer to this creature as a monkey or an ape? I know there's one researcher in the Vancouver area that is everything is about the big hairy monkey. It's a monkey.
Yeah, it's ignorance is bliss. They've definitely haven't had the close-up encounter. Otherwise, they'd know that face is not a monkey's face. And when you look at the hands, those aren't monkey's hands. And so to me, but then again, I think from what I'm hearing from the skunky researchers, sure sounds to be a branch of the orangutan tree. So who knows? I think there is credence to the belief that there's 4 to half a dozen or more different large bipedal creatures we're sharing Sasquatch Island, North America with.
And I've seen that. I mean, and I've wondered that about myself, because when you look down in the Louisiana area, down there in the bayous, that creature seems to be much smaller, much more aggressive, longer arms. You go over to the East Coast, where in Florida it seems to be, that 6 foot to 7 foot, not the 7 to 12 feet that we seem to get here in North America or in Western Canada and the western part of the United States. So that would make sense that there are different types of creatures out there with that. But, going along that side, how do we know what we're really looking for? How do we know when we find it?
Well, for starters, be like me, be a critterist. Quit looking for the woo side, the portals, the glyphs, the UFO launch zones, and things like that. Stay crispy. Focus on the critter. You're looking for those tracks. You're looking for its harvesting sites. Like in the summer, I went to a place where I found pits, 4 feet deep, 5 feet long, 4 feet wide. I couldn't figure out what was digging them, and it wasn't bear tracks I was seeing evidence of. So I got to go back up there next summer and truth that alpine area out. But, you got to be crispy, and you got to look at the evidence that's before you. You have to be like a forensic scientist and look at everything. And that's why with Sasquatch Island, my belief and what I teach people is look for the seasonal high abundance protein that a Sasquatch can harvest with the least amount of energy expelled and the least amount of time at night to fill that belly and grab in its arms and carry off to where it's going to lair up for the daytime because they are nocturnal. So when you look at that, you equate this high concentration seasonal proteins, like right now it's clam season in the winter and it's steelhead season in the Pacific Northwest from Oregon right up to Southeast Alaska. So if you go to a high concentration of steelhead in a stream ready to spawn and are spawning, chances are you're going to come up spades and get some evidence, if not record a Sasquatch activity there. And that's how I look at it. You know, a lot of people, like I say, people go into the forests of North America. I call it going into like the yarn basket. You drop a needle in the yarn basket. Are you really going to find it in under 2 minutes? Absolutely not, because it's going to be buried in there somewhere. So why would you go into the forest of North America to look for a Sasquatch? Go to the fields where the deer are out eating the corn from last harvest season. Go in the fall when the corn is there and the orchards and where the soybean fields are in that forest. But if you're out here in the Pacific Northwest, you go to the riverbanks, the sandbars, the exposed beaches at low tide, where the highest concentration of protein in its natural setting in the world is a high tidal area exposed beach at low tide in the Pacific Northwest. In 1 cubic yard or meter on an exposed beach where there's a lot of current when the tide's up, you're going to find eels and bugs and mussels and barnacles, seaweeds and limpets and chitons, scallops even, and when you crabs under the rocks, and when you eels under there, bullheads, and when you get into the sediments, you're going to find half a dozen different types of bivalve, shellfish, ghost shrimp, and even big Dungeness crabs waiting for the tide to come in. So if you're I don't believe in the 12-footers, I draw the line at 10.5 in the Pacific Northwest. But when you're a 10-foot or an 8-foot Sasquatch and you're an FBI like me, a friggin' big Indian, you got to eat a lot of seafood. So a lot of food, period. So you're not going to be groveling around like a nomadic hunter-gatherer in the, in a place that has limited protein. You're going to go to the high concentration areas. And that's why I'm working with Lucas. He's found areas where they've been storing and caching corn cobs with husk for winter protein. So you have to think above the box. You can't just go out there and, like Bang Forest Research Organization and bang on a tree and expect the Sasquatch to answer you. Because when they do answer you, they're actually telling their clan unit, bang, 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 get out of here. Humans are about. So tree knocking scares away Sasquatches as far as I'm concerned. I don't allow tree knocking until the end of investigation at night, and then I let the person go on, hit the tree, get it out of your system. Because to me, it's disrespecting Sasquatch. You're telling them, stop, get out of here. I'm here right now. Because that's what Sasquatch does in tree knocks and tree slaps to you, and shaking the foliage and throwing things. He's saying, me and my family are here harvesting right now. We don't want you humans here. Because remember, once you get close to them, they don't want you there. They hate us. They despise us. They loathe us.
Is that every creature that hates us, despises us, or is it just a rogue few?
I think the entire Sasquatch population is taught to despise us, stay clear of us. They have to hate us. Look what we've done to their environment, our environment. Clear cutting, fracking, highways, urban sprawl, timbers, forests being removed, plastic upon the beaches, and everything else. So I'm an Indian. There's times when I was out in that bush that I'd be sneaking and hunting, and I'd be all quiet and doing my stealth, and all of a sudden you'd hear a noise and you'd stop. And in front of you, you're looking through a forest of timber, and all of a sudden, a big empty logging truck goes roaring by. You didn't know that logging road was there because it was just put in the last 6 months. And then when you walk out onto that logging road and you follow it up to where they're logging, there's your prime mushroom patches, hunting areas, medicinal plants, gone. And at that time, I was rogue. I hated humans for what they were doing to our planet. And at times, I still do.
My friend, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are through 1 hour here on Spaced Out Radio, and a fast hour it has been. We are going to continue on with talking Sasquatch all night long here with our guest tonight, Thomas Sewid. He is a Canadian First Nations Indigenous Sasquatch researcher here on the west coast of North America, making home in Washington State. And we're going to talk more Sasquatch. Where's he hiding? What's he doing? How come he hates us? Does he vote? I want to know. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. My friend, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back. I'm going to get you to turn your camera off for a couple of seconds so that way we can clear the feed, and then we'll bring it back on.
How do I do that?
Right below, right in the middle.
There.
Yeah. Be right back.
Stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
All right, I'm back. Hey, everybody. We got about just under 2 minutes here before we're going to go back to the show and kind of go from there. Making sure no one snuck up on me in the chat room that I missed. If you're new to our chat room, I always like to tell people, hey, James Cotterill, how you doing? I always like to tell people that we are not a podcast. We're a live radio show. That's why we go to our commercial breaks every half an hour to appease our terrestrial radio stations. And if you have any questions, we take them an hour or two here, put them in capital letters, and I will ask Thomas the questions that are coming. Big thank you to Dirty Filth and TH for the amazing super chats tonight. It's a great way to support this show, along with giving us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and hitting that subscribe button, as our goal is 15,000 subscribers by May 24th. We're at 10,740 right now, and we'd appreciate your love and your support by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you.
I think I did.
And we're going to get going here in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Hey, just in case, how are you? Good to have you back. Hey, Thomas.
Howdy, howdy.
Looking good, buddy. Looking good. Dirt Road,
Yeah,
good to have you here. All right. Hold on, bud. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Second hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. We appreciate earning your listening ears, especially if you're tuned in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Fauteuil. If you go with the French version, it's fauteuil. If you go with the English version, it's fauteuil. Fauteuil is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight talking Sasquatch all night long with one of North America's best, Thomas Sewid. Thomas, welcome back.
Welcome, welcome.
We're going to get to some audience questions here momentarily, but for you, you've been doing this a long time now. Why do you think that we have not, quote, end quote, found this creature to be recognized as a creature of North America?
Smarter than us. They really know how that bush world where they live. They know how to just blend and disappear, and they're using so many things to their advantage that, you know, it's just tough. We just got to keep pounding. One of us is going to come up lucky. You know, Australia came up with a pretty good yowie picture in the last couple months, and you can see the splayed toes. It's so crispy.
How much do you think that has to play on the environment? Okay, we are still an environmentally dependent society. Wood, mining, fishing, tourism, hunting. Because if we're able to find this creature, and I've talked to a source of mine in Canada's capital of Ottawa about this, and he fully agrees that if we were to end up proving the existence of this, we have to shut down those areas. We have to shut them down to find out if they're migratory. What are they eating? What are they bedding down on? What are they doing? Much like we would do with any type of endangered species that is found in a new area. Do you see this as one of the consequences as to why we have not proven the existence of Sasquatch?
Oh, yeah. And it's, you know, like I said, with the years when I went into bush, you know, I had a partner. He's no longer with us, but him and I, a good friend of mine, relative actually, we'd just out of the blue go, hey, let's go in the bush. And we'd go in over ridge, mountain. We go way back into the the virgin rainforest and up in the Alpines. And you'd never see sign of human activity. And you would, the odd time you would know they were about. But because it's a term I refer to as called bush dancers, when people say, I've been a logger, a prospector, a trapper, a hiker, I never see Sasquatch. Well, yeah. But if you ask them a simple question, you ever notice that sometimes you'll hear something, you turn around and there's a branch bouncing, but there's no bird or young cub of a bear or a cougar or a raccoon? And they look at you and they go, yeah, come to think about it, I've had that happen a few times. Why? Well, it's because it's a Sasquatch, the watcher, the native people say, and they look at you and they're studying you and they're seeing that you're in your element as a trapper, hunter, prospector, mushroom picker, and you're at ease. And more than likely you're wearing camo and you got a gun. So they just pull a branch down a little further, let it go, turn and walk away. And that bouncing branch, I think, is a sign to tell us that I know you're there. I'm here. I just turned and left you alone. You do the same. And that's why the bush people that I just named, that big list of, and others, they don't see them. But the stumbling, bumbling tourist that goes out there, and now we're seeing, with GoPros and things, the mountain bikers and the motorbikers and quadders are starting to capture Sasquatches off the edge of the trail. So, it's just a matter of time. We're going to come up spades, but you have to do like I used to do. And I'll be doing it again here when the weather gets better, going way in, like going where you're not going to see another human. And that's where you'll come up more than likely spades and see the Sasquatch.
Let's get to a couple questions here from our audience. Human Carl is asking, Thomas, how do you explain just 4 prints in the middle of a field when the ground before and after the prints has the same qualities as the ground with the prints?
They've forgotten more about blending and hiding and camouflaging in their environment than we'll ever know. That's how I look at it.
Okay, so what I didn't like this answer that I got from Cliff Barackman when he was on this show a few months back. There a lot of times we will see Sasquatch, or people have reported Sasquatch trails and tracks just ending in the snow. They just stop. Now, his answer to that was they reverse back in their tracks. And they walk out the way they came in, just backwards. That's why the tracks stop. But when I asked him about wouldn't that cause a double print, he believed that it does not. So I'm curious, and trust me, I'll be honest with you. You and I have discussed this before. I'm a little bit more on the woo side than you are with this creature, due to my own personal experience that I had. But for those tracks that just stop, I don't buy the excuse that this creature has the ability to walk backwards and not double up its print.
I've watched about an 800 to 900 pound grizzly bear that knew I was about, and he backtracked off a log and then back into the grass meadow and mud, and he backtracked and set up wanting to get whatever he could smell, which was me. And afterwards, when I let my gun off and chased him off, and I went down there to investigate his backtracking because it amazed me, I couldn't believe how precise it was. And just on social media the other night, I seen it was a hoofed animal. I think it was a horse going through some like a cattle grate. How it went across and then it came back and backtracked. And I was amazed how it could do that, and I'm sure, if a horse can do something like that, a grizzly can do something like that. Well, I always give credit to the Sasquatch that they're basically equivalent, if not, and smarter than us in the bush world. Things they can do like that. I've heard the stories about, abruptly stopping and things like that, but, you got to look at, the backtrack. And I think from what I've seen, I think that's what they're doing. I haven't seen it myself, mind you, but that's just my opinion.
But would that not create a double print? I mean, every footprint, much like a handprint, has dermal ridges in it and specific lines. I mean, to line up all of those lines on a footprint, that would be...
but it was in snow. You'll never get an epidermal ridge print in snow.
You will in mud, though.
You didn't say mud, though. You said snow.
Well, okay, let's change it to mud then. Let's change it to mud.
I
then.
don't know of an example of mud or even have heard one, but I would definitely, if I did see it in mud, I would definitely be on my knees and hands with my nose right in there trying to study it.
I don't blame you. Question coming from Gone Squatchin'. Would the government care though if they are just other humans, like you were suggesting?
Canada. It's Mr. Scott knows it as well. Us Indians, First Nations, we get free medical, free dental, free prescription drugs, free post-secondary education. We get $100,000 free money if we're smart enough to apply for Aboriginal Business Canada to start or expand our businesses. I tapped into my 100K and already tapped out, went bankrupt, lost everything. But anyway, we get a lot, and that includes the Métis, the Inuit up in the Arctic of Canada. And then you have the Métis, which are the half-breed Indian non-native from the first arrivers to Canada that just got their recognition. And now they're going down the path for what we're doing, land claims and all this stuff. And we're more Canadian than Canadian as Indigenous people. And I firmly believe that when Sasquatch is identified in Canada, we're going to have our fourth Indigenous people. And they're going to want their land claims and their free Medicare and their free education, possibly. If not, they might just say, give us our land claims, we're happy, and quit catching our salmon so we can eat them up at the upper reaches and the rivers. So, yeah, the government does not want another Indigenous tribe in Canada. And down here in the U.S., well, God, look at the U.S., they don't respect their Indians down here. And you can imagine if all of a sudden they got a second Indian tribe down here called Sasquatch. Government don't want a Sasquatch to be identified. Too expensive.
Do you think they are a people? Like,
yes,
but are they a people such as a lost tribe, or are they a people of an animal variety?
Well, I think we're the lost tribe, and they're on track. And I can only speak from my region of Pacific Northwest, Washington State, and British Columbia. I can't speak for other areas, but just from my region, I think our Sasquatches are the feral human. Just like a dog or a pig goes feral, they've gotten bigger, hairier, a little bit more aggressive, and they're more in tune with their environment than a habituated dog or pig in a corral or stable or house. So to me, they are the humans of the night, the other tribe.
Okay. So you mentioned that earlier on that you believe they are dangerous and that they can kill humans. Is there any stories that you have heard of where these creatures have killed people?
Just from what everyone else reads in the books, especially the classics, John Green, and internet with a lot of the trappers, miners, Ape Canyon, for example, that was a pretty aggressive attack there. What's his name there? What was that guy in Butte Inlet or Toba Inlet that got Albert Ostrom, who got stuffed in his sleeping bag and carried off into the hills? He basically had to fight his way out on that one. And then you got Skookum, whatever his name is, on the west coast of Vancouver Island. He was abducted by them. He had to shoot his way out. So, yeah, there's so many stories in the Kwakwaka'wakw, behave yourself. The Chunach is watching. Right. And if you misbehave and act like a spoiled, rotten, little lazy brat, Chunach is going to come with big hairy arm and grab you at night, shove you in her basket or her sack and tear you into the forest where she'll boil you up and eat you. When we were filming in the big house on Vancouver Island, we had a couple, I guess you could say, mid-aged historians, and one of them a chief. And there were our drummers, singers, as we performed my family's Chonacha regalia in that big house. And they were doing interviews. And that one native fella, he said his stories he was brought up with is they would put the heads on sticks. And that's where this ancestor knew where the Chonachas were living, because the human heads were on those sticks. And, like I say, it's, there's so many accounts, native, non-native, hundreds of years ago to modern times, missing people. It's just, they're cannibals, as the native stories talk, and many tribes, not all of them, but many, talk of them as being the cannibals out there in the mountains or the forest. Lovelock Cave, the native Indians burned them and suffocated them and barricaded the cave because they wanted the cannibal giants eradicated from their tribe lands.
Well, there's also the story of the Nahanni Valley in Northwest Territories, where it's also known as Headless Valley, where anybody
Yes.
who seems to go in there ends up losing their head.
Well, there's other places like that too. You look at Vancouver Island, how many missing people, like I said earlier, missing men. A lot of them are accounts of late at night leaving a, gathering where some people were and trying to walk home and never seen again. And we know at nighttime from our investigations that the urbanized Sasquatch that are capitalizing on the human accumulated proteins like gardens and fruit trees and compost boxes and pet food and livestock feed and barns are coming into our environment when we're sleeping and our TVs and our bedroom lights go off. The Sasquatches are coming in and feeding off our urban proteins that we have accumulated in our yards and barns and chicken coops and so forth. Well, then you correlate that to the missing people that left the house party or gaming group and were walking home late at night, never to be seen or heard from again. And I think some of them are attributed to abductions by humans, by Sasquatches. But what's really interesting is, and I think her, Carrie Kilmurray in Vancouver Island, she put her listening devices out where my Sasquatch investigation camp is, and she captured on that audio recorder, you could hear this distinct human voice, "Let me go, let me go." Well, what the hell was that young man's voice saying, let me go, some 20 miles from the highway out in the middle of Timbuk nowhere where no humans are going to be? So maybe I speculate, I said to her, maybe it's that 16-year-old boy that went missing in Campbell River, just south of there by about 40 miles. Maybe he was abducted. We know there was tracks found of Sasquatch when they're investigating him going missing. And we know there was reports of a garbage digging Sasquatch in the area at that time. Maybe he was abducted. And maybe what she caught on her audio recorder that she left out there for weeks was that young boy possibly, with them. I don't know. I'm just, speculating, but something to think about.
Oh, it's definitely something to think about. How much of this missing people in North America do you give credit to Sasquatch?
A good chunk. I couldn't come up with a number or percentage. I'd say a good chunk of them, I believe, are from Sasquatches. It's just, this doesn't jibe, It's just, people going missing especially on Vancouver Island and up on the Highway of Tears. And I've heard firsthand reports from the native people up there that have to keep it off radar, tribal names and locations and that. But their accounts of what the evidence was at hand that it was possibly a Sasquatch was just too much leaning towards that, and that's what I think is happening to a lot of them.
Really? So do you believe then, let's focus on the creature here for a few minutes. Do you believe this is a migratory creature?
In my region, they are semi-migratory, meaning that they migrate. Right now, they're all out in the shellfish beds. And in another 2 weeks, in certain parts of Vancouver Island, the herring spawn is going to take place. But that coincides with shellfish region. But I think some of the clans will migrate to where those herring spawns take place in March and April throughout British Columbia. And then into end of March into April, the Ooligan go to the glacial-fed rivers and turn the rivers black with how many Ooligans, candlefish, are there. And some Sasquatch clans migrate to those areas because high concentration protein. And then in your springtime, the big tides come, and they're going out to the tidal areas where they can get rock scallops and chitons and moon snails and limpets and octopus under the boulders and big Dungeness crab in the flats that are hiding just under the surface. So, best thing to do is, like when I'm talking about this to a lot of people in North America, kind of, they don't equate that. So the best thing to do is go to YouTube to Sasquatch Island and Seasons of the Sasquatch and subscribe to them. And like I always say, like you said earlier, don't forget to slap that subscribe button like a rogue Sasquatch slaps a disrespectful Sasquatch investigator upside the head. So you can, see the videos I'm producing that are rough and rugged. But I'm showing you the seasonal proteins that Sasquatches are harvesting here in the Pacific Northwest coastal regions. And, it's, to answer your question, that's the best way to look at it. And are they migrating? Absolutely. But it's to seasonal high accumulation proteins.
We have about just under 4 minutes before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Thomas Sewid is our guest tonight on the show. Vinny is asking, Thomas, do you believe then in other cryptids such as skinwalkers or wendigos?
Wheatago, yes, because I'm half Cree. My mother's a full-blooded Cree Indian from Saskatchewan, central Canada, and that's where Wheatago is. So, yeah, I believe in Wheatago, but I haven't lived there or spent too much time, so I don't know too much on it. As far as skinwalkers go, I guess you made me go, so it means you're making me really think. So, that being said, I haven't been in those regions. I actually have been in skinwalker areas, but, people were warning me, but I just said, yeah, whatever. I never saw them or heard them or anything, and I'm still here. So I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. But sea monsters, absolutely.
Okay, you got to give us a story about that.
Oh, definitely. You said I only got 4 minutes. We're down to about 2.
Well, we got just under 3.
Okay, sea seal, double-headed sea serpent. It's in the Kwakwaka'wakw is our crest in the supernatural. But in 1958, just outside of Port McNeill on northeastern Vancouver Island, my dad was running his father's commercial fish boat with another crewman sitting beside him on the bridge in summer. And the crewman goes, "Hey, look at that." And they saw this big serpent come at the boat and then just go past the stern as they're chugging along with their diesel motor. It's a 54-foot wood boat. And I asked my dad what it looked like. And he said, well, that dinosaur with the head and the long neck and the 4 flippers and the long tail, that's what I saw. And that was 1958. And there's all kinds of reports from British Columbia coastal region about the same creature. Victoria, they call it Cabosaurus because in Cabarro Bay or whatever, that's where they see it. So there you go. Sea serpents. They're true.
I actually fished in that lake before I knew there was a sea serpent in it. I would walk in. I would walk in. Well, on Vancouver Island, right before Cathedral Grove, on your way to Port Alberni,
Cameron Lake
or Cameron Lake. Cameron Lake
that
monster.
One's a sturgeon.
Either way, I'm not fishing in that if there is a sea monster in there. And here I am, waist deep, trying to catch some trout or whatever. And nothing, and then you find out there's a sea monster in there. I don't do Okanagan Lake either, just so you know.
Me neither.
I do not do Okanagan Lake either. But those sea monsters, that's an entirely different story, man. Entirely different story. And it always amazes me how many sea monster legends there are out there. It's incredible.
Well, look at Stellar, who came here with Baranov, from Russia. He called it something sea ape. Well, the Kwakwaka'wakw, we call it, I think it's Junaquis, the water Junaqa. It's supposed to look like a Sasquatch that's in the water and swims. So, oral history, it's in the native oral history and all the tribes out here on the coast, different types of sea creatures.
Definitely. My friend, with 30 seconds to go here, I want to get to more audience questions when we come back, but we'll try and sneak in a quick one here from Filth, and he is asking, where's your question, Filth? Here it is. Have the First Nations killed a Sasquatch in the past? Or have we heard of that?
I can't answer that. I plead the fifth.
I guess that's where we're going to keep that one right there. I was expecting a little bit longer of an answer, but that is quite okay, my friend. That is,
like I say, I have a trust issue I have to ensure with my fellow tribes that I interact with, investigate.
I hear you. I'm good with that. Thomas, you hold on. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Thomas Sewid here talking Sasquatch. We're going to get more of his stories of this big, hairy creature. And no, it's just not some Canadian dude who hasn't shaved for the winter like me. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, my friend, we're clear. Hello, Rafaela. How are you? Good to have you back. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I can't believe that some dude on my Facebook page called me a twat waffle. A twat waffle. All because I put a post on my Facebook page today saying watching people in Texas going crazy with the snowfall is funny to this Canadian. Not making fun of the people who have died or the people who are homeless, but the people who are driving on summer tires because they've never had to buy winters before or things like that. That's what I was trying to have some fun with. And this one person decided to get real ugly and call me a twat waffle. I haven't been called a twat waffle, I think, since I was about 14 years old. 14 years old. Hey, Music Maker fan, how you doing? We are broadcasting from the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. That's where we are. So maybe I should change my... Oh, and this person, I'll say this, and then another one jumped in. So I'll quickly say this while we're on the air. I never mention names because that's not fair. So this person stated that I'm a moron, and then he said, you look like a never was. Let me see. What else did he say? He told me to tuck off Dave Squat. That's a grown man, probably in his 60s, maybe 70s. Let's see. I think he said, let's see, where is it here? And the only thing I asked him was he tried to make it political. I said, my page is non-political. And that's what set him off. Let me see here. He must have erased the comment where he told me that our show is talentless. Let's see here. Let's go here. Because I like this. I do. And let's see, this new lady named Wendy says, I can't believe anybody still listens to your idiotic show. Same shitty guests, same stupid-ass comments and questions over the years. And I said, yet my numbers still keep going up. Thanks, Wendy, for listening. I haven't listened in years, Wendy says. You've never had an original thought or come up with an original comment in your life. So, Wendy, if you're listening, thank you for tuning us in. We really appreciate that. And, you know, apparently I have a bad show, according to Wendy. So we're gonna put a little note on here. Yet we're still Facebook friends. We're still.
Well, she is listening, isn't she?
I don't know. Yet we're still Facebook friends. This makes me question our friendship. Wendy, who doesn't have who may or may not. Oh, that's too mean. Why hurt me like this? Oh, no. Why are you here then? There we go. We've got 20 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Dolly, Dirty Filth, Lynn, TH, and Vinster for those amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio because, apparently we are an unoriginal show. We are an unoriginal show here. So, Thomas, if I ask you any questions that you have answered over the last 10 years, that's my fault because I apparently lack no integrity. So we'll be back. Hold on, buddy. We're going to get this going. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am Mr. Original, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We're talking Sasquatch all night long. We have Mr. Thomas Sewid here breaking it all down for us. Much love to you, my friend. How you doing?
Doing good. Having fun.
Me too. As an unoriginal as I am, we're having fun here tonight. So I appreciate you coming on in and raising the levels for my mediocre status according to Facebook. But nonetheless, let's continue on with our Sasquatch talk tonight. Bombshell Bomber, who is out of the beautiful province of Ontario via Nova Scotia, and somewhere in between, I think she actually did a stint in Newfoundland at one point. She is asking, what is the scariest encounter you have personally had or heard from someone you know?
Jeez, where to begin? I guess my scariest one was probably one of my first encounters that would have been early 1990s. I had a 26-foot trailer on a isolated island, speedboats to get back and forth to Vancouver Island, and I was a native watchman guardian for my tribe in a village that was abandoned in 1968 and had fallen totem poles, big house remains standing, all these books written about it. So tourists would come there, and I was the watchman guardian. And I living in my little 26-foot trailer with my 10 by 10 foot addition. I was there by myself, and I was lying in bed with a candlelight, and I was reading a book, my gun beside me, of course. And all of a sudden I could hear this, this big howling noise coming from up the next island, up the channel from us. And I'm like lying there thinking, that's not a wolf. And then I heard another one a little further away. I'm like, no, those aren't. And then right beside me, outside the trailer, I heard this big roar, like 10 feet behind my trailer where the plum tree was. And the hair stood up all over my head, and my heart started pounding. And I was scared stiff all by myself out in the middle of nowhere at night with a Sasquatch screaming, answering these other ones in the plum trees behind my trailer. And grab my gun and I'm pulling it closer to me and I'm shaking and I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just thought the only thing I could do, I just banged on the wall and, hey, Sasquatch, shut up and get out of here. All you heard was crashing as it moved away. My heart, man, it took me forever to go to sleep. But that was probably my most scariest because my throat was dry, my legs and body were shaking, and I was by myself. That was a real pucker moment, that one. And I'm not talking about my lips.
I used to run a ghost tour here at the 108 Mile Heritage Site. and pre-COVID. And geez, back in 2019, I had this gentleman. We do one part of the tour where we go into this building and we kind of just talk about everyone else's experiences if they've had any. And this gentleman, he was probably about 62, 63, says that back in the 1970s, he was around 18 years old, and him and his buddy went fishing just north of Pemberton at one of these lakes along the highway where there's apparently good trout fishing. And they set up their camp that night. They got woken up to what felt like forklift arms going underneath the tent, picking them both up. And when they both started wriggling and yelling and screaming, both arms put it back down. And then by the time they got out of the tent, this thing was gone. But the following week, the dad of the one boy, they went back there. And this time, Dad was sleeping in the cab of the truck. The boys were sleeping in the camper trailer. And probably 1, 2 in the morning, the truck starts rocking back and forth. So much so, wakes up Dad, who has the shotgun in the truck. He hops out of the truck and blasts this thing. And this thing went wandering off. He knows he hit it, but there was absolutely no blood trail, no footprints, no nothing when they woke up that morning. Nothing. Because they weren't going in at night to look for this thing in the forest. They definitely weren't doing that. But they were rattled. They were rattled. Have you heard of any encounters like that?
Oh, lots of them. All kinds. And I attribute a lot of them to the Sasquatches just playing with us, having fun. They know we get right scared. You know what it's like when you get scared. You're all eyeballs and teeth and screaming and everything. And to them, I think they get a rise out of it. That's why they do it. And they do it so much. Like, no matter where you go, what report you read from different regions, there's always that interaction of Sasquatch towards us, usually at night when we're sleeping, where we're rudely awoken up, truck shaking, trailer shaking, big slap against the side of a wall. Peggy and I, she's sitting next to me. We were in Omaha Indian Reserve the first night we got there, and did some investigation. And then the next day we went out and we were talking to people. And this one house that the Indian guide brought us to, she was telling us about how kids are in bed and she's watching TV, husband's at the oil place working, and all of a sudden, bang, and the picture frame shook and moved on the walls. And I attribute a lot of that to, you can look at it as aggression because they're not happy that you're there. That case, it was because they just moved into a brand new trailer that got moved on the property. So they changed the pattern and, brought in something intrusive into the edge of the forest. And maybe that's what it was angry about. But a lot of them I attribute to this, they're just having fun with us. And they know it scares the bejesus out of us when they lift us up or shake our vehicles.
Well, what about the idea that a lot of people who live on the edge of wilderness will say that they have woken up and there's been a face of Sasquatch looking inside their bedroom window or in their showers or taking their pies off their patios?
Well, just remember, like I said, and you go in the southern Vancouver Island, one of the native tribes down there, their logo for their tribe is a Sasquatch with a hand in front of its face looking. And in the pupil, the reflection is a traditional native longhouse. They call the Sasquatch the Watcher. They're always watching us. They're curious. Like when I investigate here in Enumclaw, Buckley, just east of us, I go there, and with my investigation friends, I tell them, look, I said, be like a Sasquatch. Watch the houses. All the lights are on the bottom floor. Porch lights are on. Now you start watching the lights go off. The TVs are turned off. There's no more flickering. The bedroom lights are on. A couple houses, the guy goes out on the porch to have a cigarette, lets the Fifi Yappy dog go out and do its business, calls it in the house, turns off the bottom floor lights, goes upstairs, bedroom lights go off, TVs are off. Now listen, now we're going to hear them. And sure enough, that one night we could hear the chattering of Sasquatches migrating into the urban environment to capitalize on human-produced protein at the edge of the forest. And, you bet dimes to dollars, they know by watching us, our patterns. After the sports, everyone goes to bed. That house over there, don't go near it. That guy is sitting there with something in his hand going like that. It's a gamer. They stay up all night long. Don't go near there. He might see you. You know, they're smart. And that's what they're doing, just like this Indian does. You know, I study my humans before I go steal their apples in their backyard.
I want to ask you, because there is the legend of Dogman out there too. And I know in my area, a couple of First Nations elders that I know personally about 5-6 years ago had an encounter with two of them up in my area. Do you think that this Dogman creature is potentially moving Sasquatch out of its own traditional territory?
I can't say. We don't have dogmen in our territories. I've never come across them. I've never even really researched them. But, you know, some people, like one guy, you know, he told me it was a dogman, and we went and investigated. This is probably 15 years ago, and the tracks were huge. But I've seen those huge tracks. Peggy's seen huge tracks like that and actually saw that wolf, and we got a picture of it in the Northwest Territories up by Wati 3 years ago. They're big. And when you see 1,000-pound grizzly bear, it's 1,000-pound grizzly bear. It was huge. But when you actually shoot grizzly bears like I have, because I was a hunting guide for them, well, that 1,000-pound grizzly bear, when you throw it on the scale, because we had a big commercial fishing scale on the yacht I was a hunting guide on, you string it up and it comes out at 780. Everyone, like fishermen, oh, my fish was that big. You know, the arms aren't long enough to describe it, but the thing fit in his toolbox. You know, so exaggeration. That's what I see a lot of my region's dogman reports are, because they're always quadruped when you track them.
Offworld Adam is asking, Thomas, do you think the legend of skinwalkers have anything to do with the wild men?
I don't know. I really can't answer that, because it's, you know, I'd be lying if I did, because I don't know skinwalkers. It's not my area, and it's not my tribal beliefs.
Well, that made quick answer of that one. Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, but you know, I'm TS, but I ain't that other TS from Alberta that BS's.
I get you. Oh, you know,
you caught that one, did you?
I want to get into a couple of stories. What story do you have that you could share with our audience that would really make the hairs on the back of their neck stick up?
It's, I guess, well, with that time we got chased out of our sea kayak camp in 2006. You know, I told that on your show before, and you know, the best thing is for them to go to archive and check it out. But you know, that time was pretty scary. Like 4 of us got chased out by 2, possibly 3 Sasquatches. And that tree that was shaking, 2 trees that were shaking like that. And I said to my dog, Land Claims, yeah, I'm an Indian. I named my dog Land Claims. Everybody lifted his leg and peed. We were claiming it back. But anyway, I go, Land Claims, get him. And he goes running up the rock wall, and he looks behind the 2 shaking trees, and he just goes, ping. And in midair, he does 180, hits the ground, tail between his legs. That bush dog golden lab cross looked like Jesus walking across the water at high tide, and jumped into the floating dinghy. And he did not want any part of what was behind that tree. And right then I knew something was up. So I hollered for my crewman who was in one of my cabins, give me my rifle. It's out in the boat. Well, give me a machete, give me an axe, give me something. And as I'm saying that, I look to my right behind the cabin, and in a Y of 2 big cedar trees is this huge upper part of a Sasquatch looking at me. And I locked him. He eye locked me at like 60 feet. And he just grimaced and leaned forward. I could see the tendons in his neck. I could see his wrinkles in his eyes, and his teeth as big as chiclets. And I'm like, Jesus, Louise, my sister, get in that dinghy. And she looked like Jesus trying to walk across the water in the floating driftwood, trying to get to the dinghy where the dog was cowering. Told my other 2 crewmen to get in the other dinghy, and we went out to my boat, which is a 12-passenger aluminum water taxi, brand new. And we basically cut lines for my mooring buoys and my sidelines, and we went out into a big gale, and I couldn't make it to Sewid safely, so we had to go across channel, diving into these 12-foot holes between waves, and my sister crying her eyes out. And we went to a dock where a woman lives who had a little, I guess you could say, a homestead there. And there was a couple yachts tied up. And we tied up to the dock. My sister was so scared she wouldn't sleep in the house where her that woman's daughter's bedroom. She offered it. My sister, no way. And we're all wet and everything. And, thankfully she gave us a few blankets. And the four of us slept on that boat. And the next morning when the wind was down, we went to Sewid. And my sister still has not gone back into my sea kayak Sasquatch investigation camp because she's so scared of the Sasquatches there. That was probably my most scariest, one of the most scariest. And, it's just, it's intimidating because you become the hunted. And, and I knew then that, it was not good to stay there that night. We got the heck out of there. And I've had a few occasions like that, where I've had to be aggressive. I've had to rogue out and scream and yell and couple times shoot off my rifle or shotgun and get the hell out of here, Junakha, this is where I am tonight. And they leave, but they let it be known they're not too happy they're leaving. But it's bush. The strong survive. Everything gets pooped out in the bush. It's the law. And when you're out there in Sasquatch territory, as I've learned before I was an investigator, because I was a bushman out there and hunting guide, if something was around, be it a bear or a possible Sasquatch, there was times that you had to get more aggressive than they would possibly do, at least posture that way and exude that so they leave you be. And, if you don't, well, you get on to what's his name's books, Missing 411.
I want to ask you about the language. I have heard the language, the politically incorrect term would be samurai chatter. Okay.
Have you heard it?
Yes. Yes. Myself and my buddy Merle heard it back in September, October of 2018. And this is a story I told you before the show where we got chased out of the forest.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of intimidating when you were in the middle of the forest where there's one way in and one way out, and that way is behind you, and there's something talking to you in the forest. And my question to you is, even though we can't understand what they are saying, do they have the ability to understand what we are saying?
Oh, absolutely. My late uncle who passed about 2 years ago, Chief Adam Dick, everyone knows the book and movie, The Owl Called My Name. He was the Indian that was the character. That reverend who wrote the book spent time with Adam, and Adam was that Indian that character in that book is written about in the movie. Well, he was a world-renowned native historian for the Kwakwaka'wakw people. And he told me once where they went up the river from Kinkum, where he was raised, and they went up the river on a boat with an outboard motor. This is in the late 50s, and they got to a cabin that they were going to stay at to harvest salmon to smoke them. It was a smokehouse combined cabin. And the young teenager that was with them, the men told him, hey, grab that box with the stew pot and bring it up to the cabin and start the wood stove and put the stew pot up there to heat it up. We'll have lunch. The young fella grabs it, off he trots up the trail into the cabin, and all of a sudden he comes roaring back. Come on, let's go, we're getting out of here, let's go back home. We're not going back home, we're up here to smoke fish. What's wrong? Big Junakha got up, it was behind the cabin, rubbing its eyes, and walked up to me and said, yo. In Kwakwaka'wakw, yo means hello, how you doing? I don't know who you are. And that freaked that kid out. I've heard other reports, my dad told me, like when I was starting to break away from my family nest and go into the bush, my dad said, when you come across the Sasquatch, you just make sure you talk Kwakwaka'wakw to them. Don't be afraid of them, but always turn and leave them be. But just talk Kwakwaka'wakw to them. And I've done it, yo, Wixas, Majos, ye, Chonach. Hello, how you doing? I don't know who you are. What are you up to, Sasquatch? And you hear not samurai chatter. You don't hear aggressive back. You might hear that whistle chirp, guttural whistle chirp, like that little bushman and his family on The Gods Must Be Crazy. When I watched that show, it didn't really register because it wasn't until a couple of years later when I had my encounters with Sasquatch where I heard that whistle chirp. And right away I thought, my God, it sounds just like that African bushman and the gods must be crazy, that chatter talk. And I've heard that a few times. So when I've heard the recordings of samurai chatter, about 50% of them, I just roll my eyes and shake my head and go, it's bunk. And then there's been a couple where I've like caught that warbling chirp and thought, you got to give them the benefit of doubt that they have different dialects as the native tribes. There's over 600 of us in North America, Sasquatch Island. Well, there's probably over 500-600 Sasquatch tribes on Sasquatch Island as well, and they're definitely going to have different dialects. So samurai chatter might be samurai chatter out in Ontario, which I've heard, but one guy from Ontario, I think it's Bunk, that I heard, but there's a couple from Ontario that I think are the real deal. But here in the Pacific Northwest, other than what Ron Moorhead recorded in samurai chatter, which was south of here, in Vancouver Island, Washington State, I don't hear those reports of that samurai chatter, but I hear that warbling chirp like the gods must be crazy, man.
Ours were more like the...
Sounds like me when I'm drunk.
Me too, but that's exactly what we heard. That's exactly what we heard. But here's where it happened. It happened, and I've heard this story with some Sasquatch as well as Dogman as well. It happened in an area where there was a lot of death. Okay, and from what I am wondering is, do you think this creature, we know it's a protector of its land. I think we can agree on that. But do you think this creature is a protector of sacred sites, knowing what happened there? So, for instance, where we had this happen, there back in 1965, there was a plane crash that killed 52 people in that area.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's kind of out here because I got into, you can research it. There's some fake news out there about me apparently bringing people into our burial grounds as paying clients. Total bunk and BS. It was taken to a photographer in to get pictures for my chief and counsel's year-end Watchman Guardian report. But it got all blown out of proportion on social media, Facebook, and the Indians, and a lot of people turned on me and claimed I was a grave robber and bringing clients into burial grounds. No, but I still am, for my family, a protector of very sacred burial caves, catacombs, and other places. And it's amazing what's in some of these traditional burial areas: cannons, muskets from the Spanish, from the British, coins, sewing machines, and the list goes on. And I protect them, meaning that I go every few years and take a look just to make sure. I don't go in them. I take a look to make sure there's no logging activity near it. I've already worked with logging companies where they know they're sacred areas, so they're never going to log in that area. But in all my years of protecting those sacred sites, I've never seen any sign or heard any Sasquatch in close proximity. But one of the things that I've found in my investigations is in the Indian Middens, the old villages where smallpox decimated the people. And we know through the oral history and through some archaeological studying, but in those sites where the midden is, because as a guardian and years ago, we had to go out with probes and measure this area of the ancient village habitation site. And you can see the pits where the longhouses were. One of them is Mound Island, it's called. Well, you'll never find broken cockle shells in the middens. You'll never find their tracks in the moss where these middens are. But if you go outside of the midden edge, you'll find heavy accumulations. And if you dig under the moss, you'll find layer upon layer of accumulation where Sasquatches have sat there after harvesting cockles and clams, cockles being a type of clam, and eaten it. But it seems like out of respect for the humans that died there, they don't go into the midden complex. They stay outside of it. And it's really intrigued me when I finally recognized that. And it's something I always look for now in my investigations.
Yeah, I wondered if there was something of a guardianship or something.
I think so.
It would just make sense because that would become a sacred, solemn place of land. The energy, if they pick up any sort of energy from the land, it would make sense to me. I don't know. But I'm going to get you to hold on right there, Thomas, because we do have to go to break here at the top of the hour. 2 hours down. We have 1 hour to go here on Spaced Out Radio. We have Mr. Thomas Sewid here for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to talk Sasquatch. We'll take your questions as well. Then we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. I thought I was going to sneeze there.
Boy, it's going to be a good show. I'd like to hear your reviews on this one.
I'm having a great time, man. And
you're digging deep, buddy.
I'm just going to run my dogs outside. We'll be right back, okay?
Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you, so fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get bumblefucked?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to New York Anthony, to Cat Chaser, to Dirty Filth ×3, Dolly, Lynn Soes, Vinster, and TH for the awesome super chats. Thank you for the love and support that you show this show. And we're going to continue on here in about 10 seconds with the final half hour. Hey, Terry Brown, how you doing, man? Good to have you back in the chat room. And here we go, everyone. I lied. We got like 20 seconds. Always good. Hey, Dog Next Door, welcome to the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And now we're down to like 10 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it, especially those listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Fautier. Fautier is your password, or Fauteuil if you're in English. Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on for the final half hour with Thomas Sewid here, talking Sasquatch all night long. He is one of the best in North America in regards to this subject. Grows a great mustache, too. Fantastic mustache. So we do have to give credit where credit is due. Thomas, welcome back.
Good to be back.
All right, let's start with a question from Keith here. He is asking, Thomas, are Sasquatch and Neanderthal man related to one another somehow?
I would think so. Neanderthal man's related to us, so I believe Sasquatch is human, so it stands to reason that Neanderthal, you'll probably find their genes or whatever they call it, or DNA in the Sasquatch. Well, what do you call it? The jury's out on that one until we get a Sasquatch, but let's cross our fingers.
Do we need a body?
Yes, we need a body, but I'm a no-kill. I will not go hunting ever. That's so disrespectful even to think of that. Yes, I pack a gun every time I go in the bush because, I've had, being a hunting guide for over 24 years, I've had my fair share of black bears and grizzlies and wolves come at me. And, I think the laws of probability means one of the times it might get real close to me, so I better have a gun when I go out there. It's not for Sasquatch. But I am a human, anything comes within 15 feet of me and it's highly aggressive, I don't care what it is. It could be an alien. I'm going to be sending lead out. It's law of the land. You got to protect yourself. Strong survive. Everything gets pooped out in the forest. So that's where I stand on that. But we're going to need a body, and hopefully it's going to come up, whether it be a bone being found or one that drowned crossing a river and they find the remains on the bank. I think that's the only way. The burial grounds, well, we're never going to find their burial grounds. The stories are there that they know how to hide their deceased. And the native history, oral history, I've received a few reports, and they're pretty cagey when it comes to laying their family members to rest. We're not going to find them.
Okay, why do you think we haven't found a body as of yet? I know nature is very good at cleaning up after itself, and that's an easy excuse. But what's your thoughts?
In my region, Vancouver Island and some of our coastal areas are the highest concentration of limestone karst systems in the world. And most of it is unidentified, unfound, unmapped. And the native history, oral history that I've gathered, there's reports of their ancestors being shown these catacombs and caves covered up by big boulders. I can go on for a whole show with you on some of the reports on that. But basically in my region, they're burying them, they're hiding them. And one report's really good where I know the valley well. We call it the Valley of 100 Falls because when it rains, there's looks like probably 30 waterfalls in that valley as you drive up the logging road. But you go to an area where there's big boulders, bigger than houses, that have come down off the backsides of the mountains. And as you're meandering through all of these boulder field on this logging road that's been there for probably 50, 60 years, you're amazed at these boulders. Well, I received a report recently where someone said his father was on top of one of these large boulders hunting, and he witnessed Sasquatches carrying a dead one. And they went up to a boulder that was about 10 feet high, and half a dozen of them pushed it. And they went under with that body. They came back out and re-pushed that boulder back down. So if it's a 10-foot boulder and it took half a dozen Sasquatches to move, you think 15 humans are going to move it without a machine? No.
Do you think that nature is cleaning them up, or do you think they're being buried?
Oh, I believe they're being buried. Catacombs and caves. The best thing to do in your region is look up and look, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, look at the mountaintops with alpines and think to yourself, how many times have you walked from sea level or a logging road up to that alpine? Most of us can say 0. So when you look at those steep mountainsides, and I've climbed them because of the things I've done in work and different things and being an explorer, living out in the bush, and being a hunting guide, going in like the GIs did in Vietnam, going into those tunnels for the enemy. I've done that looking for wounded black bears or grizzly bears in their old den structures, in entryways to catacombs. And it's extensive, but it's in areas where most humans will never go. And loggers won't go there because it's far too dangerous to fall trees there. It's pretty much almost vertical. And that's where you're probably going to find where they're living in the caves and that. You hear so many reports about that. But as far as their remains, they know how to hide them. We're not finding them.
Do you believe then that we have enough evidence right now to say that this creature exists, or does it come down to a body for mainstream society to accept it? And will we ever get one?
I think we will get remains of one. I don't think we'll get a whole body unless some idiot with no integrity shoots it, which is I'm deathly afraid of, because that's probably what's going to end up happening. They did with the Minnesota Iceman, and the government took that one away, so it wasn't identified. We have the hard evidence that Smithsonian Institution took away. I was watching TV last night with Peggy, the guy who's investigating the giant skeletal remains that were reported being found. Over 700 newspaper reports going back to just after when the pioneers showed up with printing presses to just in the last recently. And yet Smithsonian hides all of those giant bones. Lovelock Cave ones, we got the black and white photo of that one, but you look at the mummified remains and the skeletal remains. And when you see that pronounced philtrum area, very deep from the top of the lip to the bottom of the nose, that's a Sasquatch. And we have the hard evidence. The government just keeps hiding it. And will we find it? I think so.
What do you think is the government's purpose on that? Because this would have been going on for hundreds of years then, a couple hundred years at least on North American terms.
Canada, USA, Roman Catholic Church, conquistadors, they tried to kill the indigenous people and wipe us out through all different means, from smallpox-infused blankets to starvation to the bullet to the gallows. And, you know, they never eradicated us Indians. We're proliferating now like bunny rabbits. We're all over the Americas. And, you know, now they got the Sasquatch quandary. They don't want a fourth or a second indigenous recognized tribe in the North America, Sasquatch Island. And that's why the government's doing everything they can to keep the lid on it.
Some may say that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I guess so. Run with it.
Very true. Anything can be run with this. But do we have enough evidence? Like, take somebody like Dr. Jeff Meldrum, you know, with the footprints that he has, the castings, where he has had numerous tracks that he has followed through the dermal ridges of the foot, from babies until they're full grown at, you know, from 5-inch prints up to they're now 18, 19-inch prints. Like, he believes that there is some sort of structure that we can study on this, plus hair samples, finger and handprint samples, scat that has been found. Don't we have enough to say that this is real?
Yeah, but, you know, we're the dumbest critter on the planet. We're not gonna until we have it sitting there in a display case like Barnum and Bailey did to make people believe that there was two-headed humans and Siamese twins. Until that day comes about, we're not going to believe it. We have to. We can't rationalize that. Oh, well, maybe if we look at the indigenous people of North America, they all have a name and stories about the other tribe. Well, the Pacific Northwest, they have the highest ranked crest of the Kwakwaka'wakw people is the Jonaqua, the female Sasquatch and male. And Vancouver Island has the highest concentration of wood, native and non-native carvings of Sasquatch on Earth. And the list goes on, Alert Bay being the highest concentration for any community with Jonaqua carvings on Earth. And the Umista Cultural Center, the repatriated artifacts from the 1800s and beyond, have Jonaqua. And we have the dances, the regalia, the stories owned by every family as our highest rank. But we're too ignorant as non-Indians to go, well, geez, there's some pretty hard evidence with the native people that the existence of Sasquatch is true. Well, the Truman factor, they're not going to look at us. Their skin's too dark, and they're never going to accept our culture and our stories as proof that the Sasquatch exists. But then we have the Lovelock Cave bones that were in that cabinet above that sink in that lunchroom in that museum. I seen them back in I think it was the early 90s, late 80s. And we have other bones that we have photographic evidence, but we still sit here and go, no, there was never any giants in North America. No, there's no such thing as a Sasquatch. You know, we're humans. We're the dumbest critter on the planet. We need conclusive proof. Barnum and Bailey knew that. That's why you put Siamese people in his places to sell tickets. And that's what it's going to boil down to. Ticket sales. The proof of Sasquatch.
All comes down to money.
Oh, we're the dumbest human on earth. We have no integrity or ethics. It's all about greed.
Well, that is very true in a lot of cases. As we see that, we even see that in the UFO world quite frequently as well. I want to ask you, in regards to the Sasquatch and other cryptid creatures out there, do you think that if we prove the existence of Sasquatch, this would be almost like dominoes starting to fall on other cryptid creatures as well? Like you mentioned earlier, the Cadborosaurus and other sea and lake monsters. You know, there's little people, there's gnomes, there's gargoyles. Allegedly, somewhere up north in British Columbia, there is a First Nations community that still believes that pterodactyls are taking their people.
Well, I know a woman on Campbell River, Vancouver Island, that was picked up by a bird in Northwest Territories and carried, and her tracks show that she was picked, her track stopped there, and they found her way over there a couple hundred yards, and she swears it was a big bird that picked her up. So yeah, definitely the domino effect will happen. You remember that the viewers are listening to and watching the first Indian, the first human to ever do a commercial grizzly bear tour into Knights Inlet, Glendale Cove, into the Kutsumateen, a couple years prior to anyone doing a commercial grizzly bear boat tour in there. I'm one of the first humans to ever do a whale watch in Johnson Straits. I'm one of the first and only humans to do the first sea kayak expeditions in Johnson Straits. Those are 3 multi-million-dollar industries in British Columbia now. I'm a visionary. There's a reason why I'm a Sasquatch investigator. And I named my son Gilaji Hunter Sewid, big grizzly bear hunter paddling towards a chief giving potlatch. And he's 20 years old and he wants to get into the tourism industry like Dad did. Well, I gave him a good tourist name to be a good tour guide with, a hot name for the girlies and also for his guests, but also if he wanted to be a hunting guide. Well, can you imagine right now when conclusive proof comes for Sasquatch in North America? Me and everyone else that are in the Sasquatch world, you included, we're going to be big name ticket items. People are going to say, I went Sasquatch tours with Tom Sewid. Here's my selfie with them. I went on a Sasquatch expedition with Bobo and Clef. And the list goes on. We're visionaries. We have a passion to find Sasquatch, but we're also business people. I'd like nothing more than to have a small boat and take people out at $1,000 a day to go into the fjords and inlets of my traditional territories, and hopefully they see a Sasquatch or hear one. And if not, well, they're sure going to see a lot of wildlife and eat some great seafood. That's how I look at it.
So what are you cooking up for us?
Beans, human beans. Eat like a Sasquatch.
What? No lobsters, no crabs, no nothing?
Oh, crab, prawns, clams, halibut, cod, salmon. Oh. The list goes on. Eat like a Sasquatch. That's why, like, when you go to, I'm with Monster X Radio. I got my own podcast with them. But, a YouTube channel, Seasons of Sasquatch and Sasquatch Island, and my Facebook Sasquatch Island. It's a guide on how to find those seasonal proteins. But I've opened the world to a part of Sasquatchology that no one heard about 8 years ago and beyond. Who knew the favorite food of a Sasquatch out here was a cockle? Who knew they were eating scallops and limpets on big low tides at night and different foods? And that's what I'm doing, is so that people have a better chance of bettering their game so that they do go to that place of high seasonal abundant protein and bag and tag some good video FLIR imagery of a Sasquatch so we can get that video proof. So we can start the industry. You know how much money you can make with a 12-passenger van with FLIR device up top and drop screens, driving them through logging roads in Vancouver Island and showing them elk and cougars and bears. And hey, look at that. There's a Sasquatch up on that slash eating huckleberries probably. You're going to get some good tippage after that tour. You bagged and tagged the Sasquatch with the FLIR.
It's amazing. You're probably 100% right on that. I can't even deny the tourism site that would create. I mean, being able to see something that majority have not seen, it's a phenomenal idea.
Behind me and in this house, we have tents and we do glamping, we do sea kayaking, and Peggy's retired now, so we can get into SasquatchIsland.com and start doing more of our expeditions. I do expeditions from $150 US a day, where I jump in your vehicle and take you out Sasquatching for a 24-hour period, to $2,500 a day, all inclusive, up to 10 or 12 people on a beautiful yacht owned by a movie star back in the 60s, and get you to those places where I seen Sasquatches out in the middle of Timbuk nowhere off northeastern Vancouver Island, up those mainland inlets. So, it's an industry, it's a business. And, a lot of people attack me and say, you're making money off Sasquatch. Well, wait a sec. What about the Indian carver carving rings and bracelets and earrings and pendants and masks and wood carvings of Chonahua, or their equivalent interpretation of Sasquatch? How come it's good for them to make money off Sasquatch, but when I do a tour, I'm all of a sudden the unethical evil one? I'll give your head a shake. Get out of my way. I got to get to work. I got people to go try to find a Sasquatch with.
If Sasquatch doesn't like technology, aka cameras, and everything from gunpowder to cameras to tree cameras, everything that we set up to try and find it, how can we sit there and say that they're going to show up on FLIRs and when vehicles driving around?
I've seen them twice on FLIR. An Omaha Indian Reservation with a FLIR 2 at 100, under 80 yards, roughly 100 yards, in the middle of a soybean field. I seen a pregnant female and a big male, and I watched how their back feet came up where I could see their soles and their hang lips. I went out with Stephen Major and Adam Davies on that yacht, and Adam was out in the back deck, and for about 20 minutes, thought he was just having a cigarette till he opened the door and goes, "Tom, you better come out here and check this out." And there in the FLIR image on the beach was a large bipedal, I mean really large. And Peggy, who's sitting beside me, we went in to do size comparisons the following night, dropped Adam on the beach. Peggy and I backed off in the Zodiac, and all of a sudden Adam's on the radio, "Come pick me up, come pick me up." So we went in there. Adam's tripping and stumbling and sliding, jumps in the Zodiac, "Get me out of here." That Sasquatch crawled at me, and I'm hitting the trees with a spotlight, and all I saw was a doot, doot, tree peak. So, you know, they're out there. I've got it on Sasquatch Island, the FLIR images, and Lucas in Omaha. I posted a video of a blob squatch in the field, and his dog, you can see it in the FLIR image, his dog's ears are up, and he's like looking at this, what's picked up in the FLIR, running for the tree line. And, you know, so the 12-passenger van, I'm a visionary and tourist. I was bringing people out to see whales and grizzly bears and sea kayaking when everyone thought I was crazy. Call me crazy. I was making some big bank back then. Sasquatch tours, it's the next multi-billion-dollar regional draw for tourism. Trust me. Once the conclusive proof comes out, you know how many people are going to be coming here from Asia on airplanes going, "We want to see a Sasquatch." Hell, we're going to fill the hotels up. And the casinos that have Sasquatches on their Indian reserves, like Omaha and other places, well, cha-ching, people are going to be staying there 12 months a year, going out in vans with FLIRs, looking at drones and screens, and never know. Maybe we'll end up doing like we do with the bears. Get them so habituated, they're coming to the people.
We only got about 2 minutes here left with you, and I want to say a big thank you for coming on the show. But should the normal person, myself, or anybody in the audience be out looking for this creature?
Oh, absolutely. It's fun.
I didn't expect that answer from you.
And it scares the bejesus out of you when you get close to them. That's the whole, like Peggy says right here, it's a gas. Feeling your heart pound and your throat go dry and your legs shaking and your pucker moment comes on. I'm not talking about your lips either. It's scary and it's amazing. It's an unfound, unrecognized critter out there we're sharing our backyards with. And, you know, it's the ultimate fun, and you're going to help protect your environment when we get conclusive proof. And if you want to better your odds, go to a Facebook group, Sasquatch Island, ask to join, go to the bathroom, grab a beverage, sit down, scroll away, and you'll see me chatter like a Sasquatch on there. And there's no repeat posts. I don't put like the other Bigfoot groups. I don't need to repost things that were been posted 5-10 years in a row because I have content. The Indian perspectives and my encounters and other Indian perspectives, encounters, stories, and beliefs. And it's a fun site. And, you know, go listen to me in my podcast on Monster X Radio where I chatter like a Sasquatch and about other subjects that most don't even know about yet. And then when you do, I hear it from the comments. "Wow, Tom, I want to go on an expedition with you." Heck yeah, come on, let's go.
With 1 minute to go, Tom, I want to just say a big thank you for coming on this show and discussing the world of Sasquatch, and from a First Nations opinion as well as from a researcher's opinion. I think you're a great guy. I think that you have a lot of future vision, and keep up the great work. But let our audience know where they can find your information once again.
MonsterXRadio.com. That's for the podcast and other things. We got a video cast coming soon. And Sasquatch Island is my Facebook group. And then there you can see that once you go there, you can go to the YouTube group, Seasons of the Sasquatch, which is also a Facebook group. and doing television shows. We're just about to release Sasquatch Island, the other tribe. We just had some problems with the audio. We're just correcting that. But I'll be filming soon here with Craig Yanni from, what's his name, Pacific Northwest Sasquatch Research Group here in Washington State. We talked today. We're going to start filming a documentary with him. And with Ali Stevens from Vancouver Island, we've already started filming Seasons of the Sasquatch about the proteins. And I'll be flying out to Spokane on Thursday and sitting down with Stephen Major, a friend of mine, and we've been talking about the possibility of working together on his shows. Thank you very much. I thank you all for listening. And in the language of my people, halakulas. Go in peace.
Thomas Sewid, everyone. Coming up next, we have the SOR News Wire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Good job, my friend. Good job.
Thanks a lot. That was a fun one.
I'll give you some claps. Hi, how are you?
So you got a day job?
Me, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be up at 7:45.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I'll be up at 7:45, and I will be doing my day job and then right back in the studio for tomorrow night's show.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When you get a chance, send me your mailing address. I'm going to send you a little gifty.
I can do that. I will do that.
Okay.
All right, brother.
But thanks a lot, man.
I'll send it right here on YouTube right now.
Okay.
Or not on YouTube, but on this Skype here. I'll send you my address.
Sure.
All right, brother.
Well, we're done now then, eh?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you have a good night. Thank you very much.
You take care. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem. Bye.
Take care. One second. All right. That was fun. Thanks, Cords, the booking guy. Aren't you out of power yet? Aren't you out of power? Come on, Cords. Hey, Stetson John, how you doing? Zenzabil, what's happening? Oh, yes. You get called a twat waffle, and all of a sudden, you are just a pariah to the people in your chat room. Let me tell you this. I don't know whether I preferred the twat waffle or to be called unoriginal. Are we unoriginal? I don't know. But I do know one thing, that it is that time of the night again to remind you that my beard only looks as good as it does because I use Mighty Moose beard oil. Gary the Dutchman is actually giving you a deal. Yeah, I know, a Dutchman giving you a deal. But believe it or not, it's true. If you go to mightymoosebeard.com and you hit the promo code SOR2019, Gary's going to give you a little bit of a discount. Let me show you how it works here. You just throw that a little bit in the hands just like that. You always put the lid on first because you don't want to spill it over. All right, nice drop bottle there, and you just massage it into your hands and just massage it into your beard. Ladies, this is also great to help prevent split ends. There are no chemicals. It's all natural oil, and you just massage it in. And it smells great. It feels great. Gives it a little sheen as well. And you just massage it in just like so. That's all you do. That's all you do. MightyMooseBeard.com. Tell Gary that you're using SOR 2019 as the promo code, and Gary the Dutchman's going to give you a deal. I know it's weird, a Dutchman giving you a break on something, but yeah, you get $1 off. You get $1 off. Exactly. And if you're paying in American funds, you get even bigger discounts because your dollar is worth so much more. It's true. It's true. So MightyMooseBeard.com, go tell Gary the Dutchman that I sent you over, and you're going to look good. You're going to feel good. And ladies, like I said, you could rub it in your hair. It helps with split ends, helps keep your hair looking vibrant. I use it in my hair as well. Feels great, right? So go see Gary the Dutchman. MightyMooseBeard.com. I could have called you a dinner waffle. Hey, poulet de bleu. Bonjour, comment ça va? Joe Monk should try. All right, we got 30 seconds. Big thank you once again to Lynn Soes, Vinny Barbarino, TH, Dirty Filth with the hat trick, Dolly, Cat Chaser, and New York Anthony for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for the love and support. Thank you to everyone who has hit that subscribe button and given us a thumbs down, thumbs up. Whatever you feel we deserve, we appreciate the love as we continue to grow this show of unoriginality. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. We want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the storytelling. You know what? Before we start the news, I'm going to be doing a new feature on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to be doing some creepypasta type work here over the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in talking to me about your personal story about ghosts or about UFOs or a cryptid encounter like Bigfoot or Dogman, and you want to spend a few minutes with me on the microphone, get a hold of me on social media and let me know. You can get a hold of me on Twitter, send me a private message, or you could get a hold of me on Facebook. We could do the exact same, because I want to line up a bunch of these interviews so that way we can play them on our YouTube channel and share your amazing stories that maybe you haven't shared before. And if you want to be discreet about it, you don't want to use your name, we can do that as well. So let me know if this is something that interests you. Hit us up on social media and, or my email, dave@spacedoutradio.com, and we can make that happen. All right, let's start off with the news here. Here's a creepy story out of the state of Georgia. Yeah, a creepy conversation between 2-year-old triplets and a ghost in their room has been captured on a baby monitor as their mother reveals the young girls claim to have seen a monster. 25-year-old mom Caitlin Nichols said she overheard her triplets, Presley, Millie, and Hayes, screaming and arguing with each other in their Georgia home back on January 26th. When she checked the baby monitor, the girls appeared to be speaking to an unseen figure by the wall. Oh, this just gives me goosebumps. Nichols said her daughters have not interacted with whatever they see on the wall in the same way since, but that they have woken up in the middle of the night claiming to see a monster in that exact same spot. Could you imagine? In a spooky footage which can be seen online, the three girls are out of bed looking at the same wall. One of the girls points at something she sees, and the other two run over. The first little girl runs over to the opposite wall and back twice, appearing to shake her fist at something that she sees, and she shouts, "In your face!" She is then joined by her sister, and a pair run back and forth trying to jump up and hit something. Their sisters climb onto one of the beds trying to do the same. It's just a weird story here, and there's a lot of video footage on this. At a later point, the three girls hide behind their closet before one of them comes out again to point at the wall. The girls reemerge from behind the closet only to run back in again screaming. "You like our beds?" one of the girls shouts. The other one screams, "You have a problem?" Nichols has said that despite the screaming and hiding, she believes that her daughters were playing in a 5-minute clip. Oh, goodness. We've had a couple of other spooky encounters before, like the girls' toys going off while they are sleeping, so this isn't the first time, she admitted. In the Instagram post of the clip, Nichols said that the girls had just woken up from a nap and they were playing when she heard them starting to shout. She said she heard them shout, "I'm mad at you," over and over as they looked at the wall. Well, Nichols said, what are you supposed to do as a parent? What would you do as a parent? I'm curious. Now, 2020 was basically a disaster movie, and 2021, so far, pretty much going down the same road. As if that wasn't dystopian enough, there's now a ginormous asteroid that will be passing uncomfortably close to Mother Earth very, very soon. Yes, asteroid 2001 F032 is going to be zooming past Earth on March 21st, but wait, there's more! There's no reason to start doomsday prepping just yet, even though it is large enough and will be close enough to be classified as a potentially hazardous asteroid by NASA. No, the asteroid does sound like a nightmare fuel at first. The space rock, whose orbit intersects with Earth, will be both the biggest and the fastest asteroid to pass our home turf in 2021. This thing is about as wide as the Golden Gate and as the length of the Golden Gate Bridge, and will be making a flyby at almost 77,000 miles per hour. That's about 21 miles a second. Wait a moment before you stockpile on toothpaste, toilet paper, dish soap, and your Metamucil. Make sure that you got fresh water as well. Even though it's not supposed to hit us, the scary classification that NASA gave the asteroid is because of science. They know something over there because they have been monitoring it since 2001. The qualifications for the potentially hazardous asteroid make this one sound much more unnerving than it actually is. But first, before something is officially seen as hazardous, it needs to qualify as a near-Earth object. Asteroids and comets often end up as NEOs, or near-Earth objects, when gravity from other planets pushes them close to Earth. Most will never be able to be another... Let me retry that. Most will never be another dinosaur wipeout waiting to happen. At some point in its orbit, an object has to enter the danger zone of less than 1.3 times the distance from Earth to the Sun in order to be seen as a NEO. Earth is 93 million miles from the Sun, so whatever it needs, it almost needs to be at about 121 miles from the Earth at any time during its orbit to cross over from being just another object out there in space. Either way, we're not going to get hit, but it's going to be a close one, and this leads to our next story. Oh, yeah, remember Gorilla Glue Girl? And remember she just ended up getting all that surgery done from a Beverly Hills doctor who was able to get the Gorilla Glue out? Well, of course, now we have copycats. You would think after hearing seemingly nonstop about the woman who put Gorilla Glue in her hair, you would avoid putting that product anywhere near your body. But no, there's always got to be the copycat who gets just the same disastrous results. Avani Hayes uploaded a video of herself to TikTok showing her red hair was glued down so hard that a brush couldn't even get to its individual strands. In a different video, she looks horrified before taking a shower to try and get rid of the super strength adhesive and claimed it was an accident. No, it wasn't an accident. You were seeking attention. How you accidentally put a glue that caused serious pain for Tessica Brown for a month is beyond us. But it's clear that Avani needed medical help for her hair predicament. She tried to use coconut oil on her hair. That didn't work to remove the glue. She has since now, of course, set up a GoFundMe page to try and raise enough money to help pay for her treatment at a hospital, which could involve surgery to get rid of the adhesive. One generous donor already allegedly coughed up $3,000 to go towards the treatment, and Avani revealed that she would be flying to Los Angeles to get a solution to her problem. She told her followers on TikTok, "You guys know it's definitely been a journey with this Gorilla Glue. It's been crazy. Thank you so much." How can it be a journey when you did this on purpose? I'm pretty sure you never did it on purpose until Tessica Brown. You are a fake. I don't like that stuff. Anyways, Tessica Brown had it removed, and she hit headlines when she used it and it stayed in her hair for a month. The 40-year-old put up with the pain until she realized enough was enough and went to the hospital, where medics applied acetone to try and help shift the adhesive. But unfortunately for Brown, that didn't work either. She ended up with burns to her scalp due to the solution. After spotting her unusual and unfortunate predicament, LA cosmetic surgeon Dr. Michael Obang offered to fix the problem for free. It usually costs about $12,500 for the surgery. Now we have another moron who is following suit. A man has discovered that a drawing he bought in South America for about 73 pence has value at closer to 10,000 pounds in British terms, because it is drawn by a successful artist. Even more bizarre, the artist is famous for having a rare collection that allows him to paint interesting pictures while he's asleep, and he's made millions out of it. 39-year-old Santiago Taut paid only $1 for the drawing when he took a liking to it at a street market in Ecuador back in 2001. He thought of it littlely, it didn't really cross his mind, and then he lay dormant in a storage unit in Spain till he finally shipped over his stuff in 2013 after moving to the UK. Luckily, his wife Dahlia is a bit of an art enthusiast and thought that she recognized the signature and the style, that of Lee Hadwin, the aforementioned sleep artist. She met Lee at an event years before, got in touch to ask if it was one of his, and it turned out to be. Lee has sold artworks to many people for up to 100,000 pounds, or about $120,000 US, and has exhibited his works around the world. He reckons that this color piece, called Bolide, was created while he was living in Australia in about 2001. However, he has no clue how it ended up in South America. Well, now it stands to make Santiago, who is originally from Ecuador, a decent whack of money if he decides to sell. He said, I like the look of the drawing because of all the colors. Ended up purchasing it for $1 with a few other souvenirs. I moved from Ecuador to Spain and then to England, leaving a lot of my belongings stored in Spain, and I was living in a small house, didn't have space. Finally got my boxes from Spain last year. Lo and behold, my wife recognizes it, and we are in shock. You know what? I would love to see what they could cash in on this. They're expected, the value, around $8,000 to $10,000. That's a nice little find for $1. Moving on. Scientists at Penn State University have a new plan to help unearth clues about Amelia Earhart's doomed flight around the world, and it involves a nuclear reactor. Yes, on July 2nd, 1937, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan were en route to Howland Island in the Pacific, about 1,700 miles southwest of Honolulu. They were 6 weeks and 20,000 miles deep into their trip when they went missing. But Earhart and Newland never made it. Somewhere along the way, it's expected that the plane became heavy, short on fuel, and went down somewhere. We just don't know where. So they're going to take this little piece of nuclear, what do they call that? Nuclear power plant, to go look for this. You know, they figure that it's going to be somewhere around the Howland Islands, maybe in around a 300-mile diameter. And while skeletal remains can be tested for DNA along living people descended from Earhart's family, this scrap of metal, which spent decades scraping around a coral reef in corrosive ocean water and is suspected to be a piece of the Electra, is much tougher to figure out. Now, particle physics could help in identifying whether it is legitimate or not. Daniel Beck, the manager of the engineering program from Penn State Radiation Science and Engineering Center, home to the Breezeal nuclear reactor, invited Gillespie and the few famous pieces of metal at the university. Beck says to Gillespie they could try to do a relevant analysis to match the ongoing genetic testing scientists were doing on the suspected Earhart remains. It is still seeming to be clear that we do not know where she is, or if we ever will. A teen in the UK who compulsively ate her own hair ended up developing a massive hairball in her stomach that tore a hole right through her stomach wall. Yes, don't eat your hair. It's not good for you. The oval-shaped hairball, which was about 19 inches long and completely filled her stomach, according to reports. The 17-year-old initially went to the hospital after she fainted twice, bruising her face and scalp during falls. Doctors wanted to rule out a head injury, but during an exam, they also noticed a mass in the girl's upper abdomen. The teen said she had been experiencing intermittent abdominal pain for the past 5 months, which had worsened over the last 2 weeks prior to her hospital visit. No kidding. She also had a history of 2 mental health disorders as well, and, that never goes well, especially when you have compulsive eating hair disorder. Yeah, a computed tomography scan revealed a grossly distended stomach with a large mass inside and a tear in the stomach wall. According to the study's authors from Queen's Medical Center in Nottingham, the teen was diagnosed with Rapunzel syndrome, in which a hairball in the stomach, known medically as a trichobezoar, is that right? Extends into the intestine. She underwent surgery and doctors removed the hairball, which was so large it formed a cast of the entire stomach. Between 0.5% and 3% of people will experience this disease at some point in their lives, according to the National Organization for Rare Disorders. Only about 10% to 30% of people with it actually have trichophagia. Among people with both conditions, only 1% develop masses of hair in their gastrointestinal tract. Eating hair can cause serious complications, including obstruction of the intestines and even death. A 16-year-old in 2017 in England died from Rapunzel syndrome, after a hairball in her stomach caused a fatal infection. In the current case, the teen was admitted to the intensive care unit after her surgery, and she received food through a feeding tube inserted to her small intestine while her stomach healed. After evaluation by hospital psychiatrists, she had an uneventful post-operative course and was released from the hospital 7 days after surgery. 1 month later, she had no signs of complications and was progressing well with proper dietary advice. Proper dietary advice. Don't eat your hair. It doesn't get much more clear than that. And finally tonight, we will go to this. Let's end on a good note. A couple who had their first date at a Chicago eatery who just returned to that same restaurant to celebrate their 20th anniversary left the staff a $2,000 tip. Jim Higgins, owner of Club Lucky in Bucktown, said that the couple had been visiting the eatery February 12th each year to mark the anniversary of their first date. That booth is his booth, February 12th at 7:30 p.m., booth 46. As long as Club Lucky is here, that table will be here for them, Higgins stated. Eddie Cruz, a bartender and server at the restaurant, closed out the now married couple's tab on Friday night and was shocked to see they had left a $2,000 tip. Thank you for 20 years of good memories, excellent food, and outstanding service. Cheers to many more, the couple wrote in a note on the receipt. Higgins said the couple requested to have the tip split among the Club Lucky staff. You know, it almost makes you cry, Cruz said. It's so heartwarming when people are that generous. Don't eat your hair. It's bad. Just saying. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What would you do if you were face to face with a Bigfoot? Just curious. John, smile without showing teeth, offer a slow, respectful bow, say hi, and then finally sit down slowly and see how he or she responded. Mark in Australia, just stand there dumbfounded with mouth open. Dirty Filth in Edmonton, probably pee my pants and then back away slowly. He did the same thing with Gretzky too, by the way. Uriah, if I were face to face with a Bigfoot, I'd say he's either on his knees or I grew 2 feet taller. Joseph, I'd turn on a dime and run. Anthony, I'd put him in an armbar. Shanna, I'd look for the portal around here. Desert Clam, a thinny. I don't know what that is. All right, Dan, I'd take a selfie? The Phenomenemia. I would give it some beef jerky that I had. Okay. Well, let's move on. See what else. Davy. My daughter said she would give it a hug. My son said he would kick it in the ghoulies. Sparkles. Not move at all, not get scared, and send out a lot of light with the hope that it would turn and walk away. Did this in Alaska once, when I found myself 5 feet away from a huge moose that was standing there looking at me. Worked with the moose. I figure they are both living creatures that perceive. Lindsay, I'd give him a giant hug, then call you, Dave. Oh, thanks, Linster. Kira, I'd give it a hug, then I'd sit down and have a telepathic conversation about life in the universe, where it lives, and how we as humans can be better together. Kevin, I would hand him or her a sandwich and pour them a cup of soup. Then we could chat about fixing Cornish the booking guy up with a nice lady Bigfoot. Andrea, I'd make him a new pet and put him in a cute onesie. Evan, I'd take a picture that isn't fuzzy. Gail, I would not be in his territory without a weapon, since I don't know if he's a predator, have no idea if he's a carnivore, and I would prefer to survive the encounter. Sorry, everyone, but I would shoot the big guy in both knees, call for help, and finally prove his existence. Captain Shirk, you could also be a little bit more generous, put the weapon down, and ask him on a date. He may go with you because maybe he hasn't had a date in a long time. Kevin, I'd call the Discovery Channel. Kate, share whatever snack I have and not tell anyone. Susan, be wearing some crazy 2-foot tall heels, face to face, yep, about that tall. Joshua, I was within 3 feet of one. Carrie Lynn, compose myself and communicate, or flip out and run. It's 50-50. Neil, I'd give him a Reese's peanut butter cup. Gil, I'd need to change my pants. Azrael, I'd probably try to talk to him into subscribing to my YouTube channel. Sadly, it's a true story. Tina, sorry, my smart-ass comment is, how? John, how to God he or she was friendly. Rose, probably urinate myself. Debbie, sing and pray, that is pleasing. Tina, actually, when they hoot at me when I close my birds up, I say hello and send good vibes out to them. And the final goes to Ashy. He goes, I would ask you, Dave. I would ask it to shave. Thanks, partner. Thank you to everyone on the Thought of the Dave. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the news, and to Thomas Sewid for being a rock star talking Bigfoot all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yep, we've got room for him too. Good night. And that ends another unoriginal broadcast of Spaced Out Radio here on the channel tonight. What the hell is that box there? I don't know what that is. I will fix that later. Oh, well. All right, let's go here. Let's go here. Unoriginal. Oh, come on. That is totally, totally funny. Unoriginal. Why is that black? I don't understand. Weird. We're unoriginal. No? You guys aren't falling for that? I don't know. Unoriginal. All right. Where are you guys? I'm just going to run and take myself for a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back, people. Sorry about that, everyone. I had to give my daughter shit there. He was playing the music awfully loud for midnight. The loud music doesn't bother me. But I'll tell you, in this household, you don't play country music that loud. You don't. It's terrible. Terrible. You know? Like, I care about my daughter's future. You know? Walking into the bedroom and she's playing country music. It's a nightmare for any father, realistically. Don't put that up with that in my house, so let me tell you. Hate to be rough on her that way, but I mean, what's a father to do? I don't even know what kind of twang it was. Killed my ears. You do have to be tough. There are certain situations, people, where you have to put your foot down with your children. Country music is one of them. I don't know what it was. Hey, Chris Mo. How you doing? Just scared me. We don't try to promote that stuff around here. Care about the future. Maybe I'm just too unoriginal. Maybe I'm just too unoriginal. I don't know. By the way, that person unfriended me on Facebook. I'm just absolutely heartbroken. You know, I always wonder, I usually have, she must have slipped through the cracks because I have one rule on my Facebook page, and that rule is I get a lot of people who try and add me on Facebook, okay, daily. And the majority I end up not adding to my Facebook account. But one rule that I do have is I don't add people who don't have pictures of themselves. You know, I want to make sure. Oh, Bill Wilson, thank you for that huge super chat there. Wow, thank you. Really appreciate the love and the support. But the one rule that I do have is I don't add anybody on Facebook who doesn't have a picture of themselves. So I actually will troll their profile just to make sure that they are a real person, because I just don't like fake people, or what are you hiding, or whatever that may be. I mean, in my world, there's just no time or room for it. So I'm pretty careful with that. And this one must have slipped through the cracks. Must have had to have, because I really this person, Windy is her name, didn't have a single picture of her on her profile. So that's kind of one of the requests that I have, that if you're going to add me as a friend on Facebook, unless I know who you are personally, make sure you have a true picture on your profile, because otherwise I will not add you. Well, the unfortunate part about it is I kind of have to go on Facebook because of the show. I don't think I would do Facebook. Like, I have a secondary private profile for like my family and friends. But I don't think, I mean, God, I'm maybe down to like 60 people on that one. But I just I don't like that, you know? I don't like that. So yeah. All right, not like that. And what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm going here. Give me 1 second here, people. Anybody see that Super Bowl commercial with Wayne's World, and then at the end they brought in Cardi B? That was horrible. Honestly, it was horrible. Cardi B has nothing to do with rock and roll. Wayne's World is about rock and roll. I got bothered the same way in Austin Powers when they brought Britney Spears out at the beginning in Goldmember. And I thought that Foxy Cleopatra, played by Beyonce, I would have sooner seen a real actress on that. I didn't think that Beyonce was very good in that movie. I really don't. She looked beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Dog next door. Dave, will you eat dinner food for breakfast? Steak and potatoes? No. It's not breakfast food. Although pizza, I will. Because pizza, like bacon, is universal. Can be eaten at any time of the day. Oh, Leo Ashcraft, the other guy who was insulting me, he unfriended me too. Oh no, that's just terrible. Just terrible. Windy McGee. Windy McGee. We had 392 mutual friends. Windy. Not even Wendy. It's windy. Like, it's windy outside. I just think it's funny. That's just me. See, Fast Hemi, I'm in the same boat you are. I think Beyonce is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Way too pretty for her own good. But she can't act. She can't act. She was terrible as Foxy Cleopatra. Terrible. You know who I would have liked to have seen as Foxy Cleopatra? And I'm just saying this because I got a major crush on her. And I know she's older. But Holly Berry. Oh, Holly Berry would have been a great Foxy Cleopatra. She's so hot. Or Jessica Alba would have been a fantastic Foxy Cleopatra. It always seemed that Beyonce was trying too hard in that. Didn't work for me. Didn't work for me. Paul Holland, I'll add you. I know who you are. I'll add you. Where's your profile here? Oh, go to his profile. Hi, I'm Dave. Show me his profile now. There we go. I'll add you, Paul. Only because you got some... Ooh. What is this Les Paul you have here? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, Paul, you can add me. Look at that Les Paul you have in your profile. Oh, my. Is that your collection of Les Pauls there, Paul? Oh my God, he's got 6 of them. You dirty bastard. Look at that blue one. That is the blue one that I love. Oh my God, you have the guitar that I want. And it's a standard. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Paul Holland apparently has 36 guitars in all. Holly Berry was great in John Wick. Just saying. Holly Berry is great in anything that she does because she's just the epitome of gorgeous. I know, I'm biased. I'm totally biased. Let me just get some stuff done here first. Oh, I love that blue Les Paul. Paul Holland. Way too nice of a guitar for you. Just saying. I know where there would be a good home for that one. That is the exact Les Paul that I want. Exact Les Paul. I can't wait to get one. Hold on one sec here, buddy. I don't know whether I should show that picture or not. Let's see, what else has he got here? Oh, there's him playing it. Well, that's a nice 12 string. Oh, it's a nice Fender. Rickenbacker. There's a picture of just the 5 before the blue one was added. Oh, it's lovely. Just lovely. Almost every picture that Paul has on his profile is of a guitar. This is awesome. Oh, Paul, you used to have a good set of hair. Should grow that back. Nice mandolin, too. Are those? Oh, that's a Gretsch. He's got a Gretsch collection, too. My goodness. Hey, Paul, what is that picture with your white Les Paul and there's like a silver one there? That's not a Les Paul. That looks like a, by the headstock, it almost looks like a Hagstrom. What guitar is that? You know what I can't stand about guitars? I hate upside down or Zemitis, never heard of it. I hate upside down headstocks, reverse headstocks. Can't stand them. Can't stand them. They drive me nuts. God, that's gorgeous. Oh, there's Gorgeous Larry messaging me. Hey, Gorgeous Larry. Gorgeous Larry has a nice beard. Paul Holland, are you going to start giving me guitar lessons? Good night, Fast Hemi. I don't know what's with the audio on Sunday nights. I keep trying to talk to Michael about it. We're working on it continually. I don't know. It's part of my issue. I don't get it. I don't know. You don't have the add friend button there, buddy. It's in your between you and Paul. It's in your security settings. Unless I'm at 5,000 now. I don't know. Let me look. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. Move that over here. Am I at 5,000? I don't think so. I'm at 49.49. So I think it's in your security settings. Paul Holland, same thing. Let me see here. Hey, Mike Walden. Hi and good night. That one's done. That one's done. Let's upload this now. I got one of those. Oh, right there. That's a nice headstock right there. This is my daughter's guitar. They never go out of tune either. We got a tuning lock right here. So bad. My dream guitar, I have two of them. Bumblefoot has one of them, which I've already talked to him that one day he'll let me buy it off of him. And the second one would be, actually I got three. A Gibson Explorer Black and Gibson Les Paul in, what's that blue called that you have, Paul? What's that blue called? I have no idea, Larry. I have a Washburn. It's up in my son's room. Cobalt Burst. Yeah, that's a gorgeous guitar. That's a gorgeous guitar. Oh, I'm not a good guitar player, man. I can't. I honestly, I don't know any. I even forget the chords I know. That's it. That's all I got. That's right, chords. Thank you for reminding me. I love the whammy bar. It could, sounds like it could use a tuning. Probably check it. Where's my guitar tuner? Good one on. Where is? Well, I guess we're going to download one. put that back on. Weird. This is like way out. Holy shit. Oops, I think I turned the wrong one. There we go. We're in tune. Good night, Bombshell Bomber. Hey, Sovereign Farts. How you doing? Excuse me. Oh. Have a good night, Nimkish. I am the king of originality. All right, that's enough of me making an ass out of myself. You look beautiful. All right, that time of the night where I need to get to bed. I need to get my solid 6 hours sleep. And gonna go from there. So I bid adieu to all of you until tomorrow night. Thank you to Bill, Anthony, Dirty Filth, Cat Chaser, Dirty Filth, Dolly, Lynn Sows, Vinster, Dirty Filth, and TH for the amazing super chats. And we will talk to you guys all tomorrow night. Tomorrow night on the show, who is it here? Let me have a little peek here. It's going to be a good one. I know that. Stephen Bassett. Stephen Bassett tomorrow night. Remember, we are the unoriginal show of all radio shows out there. So make sure you check us on out if you want or not. But we'll talk to you all tomorrow night. Stephen Bassett, we're talking to UFOs. We'll talk to you then, guys. Have a good night. Take care.